Hello, friends, and welcome once again to another single-serving tabletop adventure from Queen's Court Games. I'm Aaron. I'll be your storyteller, and tonight we're on our way to suburban Illinois for Observer Effect, a Delta Green scenario by Shane Ivey. But it's not a normal day, is it? Because we're doing a Delta Green marathon!
What? A marathon?
God, 12 entire hours of occult conspiracies, of government agents, of unknowable horrors, and the ceaseless, constant fight to keep them at bay. In Delta Green, you can never win. The best you can do is keep the world ticking on as it is. And I have some wonderful people here with me tonight to help that. Our lovely cast is waiting, but first, some things we need to get out of the way. First, please do go into chat and hit !safety to find the content warnings for today's episode. It's a horror game. Some things might come up that you find objectionable or uncomfortable, and we'd like to make sure that everyone feels good at the end of this episode. Maybe less the players. If they're stressed out, we're doing good, but you, the viewer, we want you to be just fine. Also, if at some point an event were to occur, for example,
I don't know, say you wanted to head on over and hit that subscribe button.
We would prefer if instead, Scarlet, any suggestions?
Maybe check out our Patreon.
Smart.
And I mean, Krissy, why would they want to do that?
Well, Aaron, because for the same $5 for a Twitch subscription, you can instead head on over to the Patreon, get more bang for your buck, and we don't have to split our money with Jeff Bezos.
All of those things, perfectly great reasons to do so. Hip thrusts optional, but encouraged. Now to introduce the friends of mine who will be joining us on this story. First, returning to us from Goblets and Gaze as physician Dr. West, it's Aubrey.
Hello.
As computer savvy agent Gilmore, Krissy's at the table.
What up?
As our physics curious physician, Agent Linder, QCG's very own Scarlet.
Hi.
And ready to finesse this game with some firepower. As Agent North, it's V.
One of us has to, right?
Had to be me.
Anybody else would have gotten it wrong.
Please don't sue us, Electronic Arts.
I'm so sorry.
Well, our adventure begins today, actually quite late in the evening in suburban Chicago, but your stories as agents begins a little bit earlier. Because before the text messages, before the emails, before Delta Green comes knocking on your door to recruit you to another mission, something else happens. I would like to know from each of you, what were you doing at 10 o'clock this morning? Agent North?
Okay, it's a little nerdy. 10 o'clock in the morning is always the time that I go hang out with Austin. If you'll remember, he's actually my roommate. We take a little break and we actually go play competitive foosball. We actually have like a bracket system. It's teams foosball. We play against some of the other guys. Don't judge me. I mean, you're gonna judge me, but like, don't judge me.
I would never.
X to doubt, I think.
Dr. West, what about you?
So I had actually gotten done with probably about an hour or so beforehand of the night shift at the hospital. Heading home, waking up my daughter and making sure she gets off to school all right. And then probably have just gotten home from that and like being like, do I drink coffee and hope to just push through until I have to go back to the hospital, or try and get some sleep when I get the message?
Agent Gilmore, what about you?
Oh, well, I overslept today, so I had literally just rolled off my friend's sofa. We stayed up late last night playing some video games, and I not so gracefully fell off their sofa first thing this morning, and then drank their now stale coffee, and they had crumbs left of pastries left in the kitchen. I snagged a few of those, and that's debated on a shower. That's probably about how I've started my day.
And just for me, is that friend still home, or have they gone off to be a real human being in the workplace?
they've gone off to be a responsible adult. I haven't quite figured that aspect of life out yet.
Yeah, you and me both. If you figure it out, let me know.
Yeah, will do.
And lastly, Agent Linda, what were you up to at 10 o'clock in the a.m.?
Well, I've just had my third coffee, and I have already done a run on the machine, but I'm mostly just looking through my books. I'm all about the studying. I'm enjoying the quiet, and just yes, obviously I've been awake for quite some time already.
Excellent. It seems like a fairly ordinary morning for most of you, which is going to be violently interrupted. At exactly 10 a.m., 10:00:00, all of your ordinary activities are interrupted by a wave of psychic agony. Like a universe worth of screams coming into your head from 100 different voices, 100 different your voices, forcing their way through your frontal cortex, down into your mouth, and then off of your lips. It's like waking up from a nightmare, like a night terror, when you jolt yourself into existence screaming. Given what you've told me about your day so far, how does that interrupt what's going on? Agent North, I'm guessing the foosball game, are there rules for substitutions and timeout in competitive foosball?
Not usually. If a game has to be canceled, they just kind of mark it, and we reschedule it later. Luckily, but yeah, no, I can't say Austin or the team we were playing against really appreciate the scream at all.
Austin, he's familiar with your line of work, your real line of work, but not your real line of work, right?
Yes, yes. Austin is also a member of the army, so we are in the same sort of division, which is why we room together. So yeah, he understands part of it, but not the colorful part of it, we'll call it.
He also doesn't understand this part, the sudden screaming part, and as you like time blindness, you will not remember this happening. You come out of this moment and everyone's just staring at you, and there's a quiet silence before Austin kind of reaches out, not touching you, but like close enough to say, is everything okay?
Yeah. Why?
Are you sure? Because he trails off.
I'll take a look at the other guys across the foosball table from us.
You've played with them before. They might not know you well enough to actually interject in the conversation. There's that code of kind of professional bro silence in the military.
Sure. What are you? And I'll look back to Austin. What are you talking about?
You know what? Maybe not now. It's fine. Just don't worry about it. And it's that kind of voice that someone takes when you've like made a mistake and they don't want to call too much attention to it. In a humorous context, a terribly loud fart, and we're all just going to ignore it. In a less humorous context, maybe the person who deploys around the world fighting wars is having a memory that we don't really want to call attention to right now. So, with concern, he's giving you the space where, okay, maybe this is just a reaction. Maybe you're just suppressing something, and I don't want to get too far into it. So if you say there's not a problem, that's fine. The others, of course, in the same culture, that masculine warrior ethos of emotions are for the inside, keeping them from asking any particular questions. But the game does proceed a bit awkwardly after that.
Sure. It's really obvious, and it's a little strange because Austin's usually really forthcoming about stuff with me. You know, I mean, it's kind of like the weird like brother sort of relationship. But yeah, it's awkward. Does he eventually talk to me about it?
I'm sure we can cover that once some emails come in that might help explain what happened to your nugget.
Sure.
We can get a little closer towards not revealing the truth, but at least tamping down his concern.
Got it.
Dr. West, I don't know what kind of screamer you are, but if you are the high heart rate, suddenly awake screamer, then coffee decision's made for you. What's going on in your room alone now?
Probably, you know, is. I guess it depends if my husband is home or not.
You tell me.
I imagine that we have set something up for most of the days where we have like alternating schedules, so one of us is always home with our daughter, so that we don't have to do the whole thing where we leave a 10-year-old like home alone for hours on end to cause chaos.
Or pay your entire salary in childcare costs.
Yeah. So I imagine, yeah, he is at work. So it's kind of like a screaming out into an empty house and really hoping the neighbors didn't hear.
On a doctor's salary, you probably live somewhere with not an acreage, but maybe a nice sized lot.
Nice sized lots and, you know, decently thick walls.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nice house. This was not made in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. Is that better or worse that in this moment of psychological trauma, you can instantly recognize what it is, not only because you're a doctor, but because you've been down Program Street before? What's the emotion that follows that?
Definitely a lot of fear and concern. Probably immediately I go and check messages, emails, see if there's anything from anybody, just to explain maybe what happened, or, you know, essentially be waiting for a call at this point.
It's the same kind of paranoia where you'd have like a Twitter mentions alerts, like Google News alerts set up for weird things, and now you're going through all the accounts trying to...
You're like, what is it this time?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's going to be a fairly long hour, but you will have answers eventually. Agent Gilmore also alone. I guess we understand why you went flying off the couch just now.
Oh, shit. I feel like their neighbors, the walls are thin here. They live in an apartment, and their neighbors are probably banging. I'm already a little unhinged about it. Shit. Okay.
Just hear the rhythmic thump of Gertrude, the old neighbor. She's living in a rent-controlled apartment, has a senior's discount, and if you make any, like, if you talk any louder than this, it's just...
Shut up, you old bat! All right. I'm gonna run to my laptop. It's probably the nicest thing I own. I don't take the greatest care of it, though. It's got some scratches on the case, but the inside still looks nice. I'm very careful never to spill anything on it. But and I start going on to a certain search engine, see if I see anything. Googling my symptoms.
Oh, well, in that case, it's not supernatural. You just have cancer.
Cool. I guess I need to go get checked for a brain tumor. All right.
Yep. It's a really rare brain tumor. It happens like 1 in 17 million people, but it matches your symptoms exactly.
Damn it. And it's right on my spinal cord, like too, like that right there. Yep.
I can see Dr. West. The doctor's going to love you, Agent Gilmore. It's gonna be the highlight of their day.
But yeah. Panicking over that, really confused. Also, I mean, I would have notifications if I got emails or, you know, my cell phone's around somewhere. I'd hear it if it went off. It's fine.
Not yet. No news for any of you. Except, well, news for Agent Linda, who we haven't had our screaming conversation with.
Yeah, I probably dropped my cup and spilt my coffee over some of my notes, which flustered me to no end. But I'm trying to find a page which isn't too damp to write down the exact time, what just happened, how I'm feeling, and any thoughts that I've had other than that.
Is this the first time this happened? Is this page of your journal devoted to screaming into the void? Does it have more than one entry?
Any strange phenomenon that I've experienced or seen. I have to write down immediately or as much as I can, just to reference later, just in case.
That's a habit you picked up after what happened in Missouri?
Yes, exactly.
Better safe than sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know many of you are seeking answers for different reasons, and eventually that will come, whether by email or text message or phone call, whatever method the program has to contact you securely. And the text will read something pretty close to this. Quirky Oracle reports incursion event with ongoing anomalies at the Olympian Holobeam Array. Designate Curious Laurel, and then some time and geographic indicators. Program activity designate Observer Effect authorized by A-Cell 1548 Zulu with activation orders for designate O-Cell. There are 4 agent names, one of which is yours. Mission: secure and isolate Curious Laurel and contain incursion event in accordance with standing program orders. Investigate bystanders as possible Norwegian and monitor O-Cell tome rot.
Crap.
So I want to zoom in real close on that moment, the exact moment when your eye hits the last period on that. Because you're all professionals to various degrees. You can make it through the text and you're adjusting the information, but then there's going to come a moment where you realize something's happening again. And for Agent Linda, it was monsters in Missouri. For Agent North, for Agent West, it was... We're still not exactly sure what that was in Tennessee. For Agent Gilmore, you have your own experience with the weird world. And the only thing that kind of kept you psychologically together after those events was that they were over. And you didn't have to do this anymore. But now that trauma's coming knocking back. So as you get to that last word, tome rot, the Delta Green code word for people just slowly getting their brains melted by things that people are not meant to know. What's the reaction?
I mean, Tennessee wasn't my first rodeo. And in a perfect world, this one won't be my last. I don't really have any hopes of succumbing to tome rot, but I do understand the danger behind it. And having had this incident this morning, I'm a little concerned about any lingering effects that are already kind of like making their way into this. So I'm a little more concerned now than I was before, especially if I have to go deal with whatever this is. I may already be susceptible to tome rot, and I'm not looking forward to that.
I'm staring at the screen, very, very bitterly tempted to respond back with, you could just speak to us in English, but then opting not to. Instead, I do in fact decide to go take a shower and scream voluntarily this time while I'm in there. When the old bat starts banging, I'll bang back. And then I guess I'll just grab my clothes and start getting ready.
Something therapeutic and screaming on your own terms.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a good way to process feelings.
I'll put that down in my real life notes here. Next time I'm editing a podcast for 7 hours, I can just stop and scream in the middle of it, and we'll see if that helps. Dr. West says it does. But Dr. West, how are you taking the news?
I imagine there's this almost like this, not necessarily this switch that flips, but there's just this moment of I've been at work for 12 hours or whatever already, and I'm already tired, and it's just sort of like autopilot takes over, where it's like I get up and I start packing what I need. I medical supplies, change of clothes, make sure the gun's in there. What do I need for this? I have, Tennessee wasn't the first time I had encountered these things before, and if anything, there is there is the desire of knowing that these weird things are out there, and that there's these dangerous things of wanting to keep like just my daughter safe, of making sure that she never has to see or face any of this. And I'm a doctor, so it's kind of like the whole thing I said to do is to help people. So it is start packing immediately, look up flights, send out a message to my husband and just be like, hey, something came up, I need to head out of town for the day or so. I'll let you know when I land, and then I'll let you know when I'm heading back.
Text message comes back again? ? And then the it's not the sigh face, it's the slight concern emoji, like just the eyes are like.
Yeah, it is a kind of a doctor's work is never done.
And then messages about, well, we can't use Sarah again because she went back to college. I guess I have to find somebody else to come and babysit the kid, or can your sister-in-law pick him up from work? Or not from work. The kid's like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Can your sister-in-law pick the child up from the coal mines when the shift is over? Perhaps swing by the soup store. Do you have anyone who do you know who I can have pick her up from school? And all these little minutia details of actual parenting. Yeah,
there's probably mention of like, I'm looking at my bonds on my character sheet, and I have a best friend, and so maybe I guess she also lives probably in the same town, so it's probably like a message to her, and if she has a kid as well, so I imagine our kids are friends. So it is kind of just a, hey, Vanessa, could you pick up Vanessa from school today, along with Micah? So I
think also based on that description, Agent North, you have a little second wave of psychic trauma, not as bad as the first, but when Dr. West, despite having experienced Missouri, then has to start packing her bag instead of just going and picking up the pre-packed go bag that you definitely have.
Oh,
first,
yeah.
Yeah, huge wave of revulsion, and then just like a tickle of something being wrong.
Yep. I in this line of work, how do you not have a go bag? I mean, really.
Well, I'm gonna hold off judgment on that until I know what Agent Linda has next to his door.
Agent Linda does have a bag, but it's full of theories, more notepads because they're very important, but also a knife, because guns aren't really his thing, but he's seen some scary combat, so he's okay. I'm gonna need something, so there's a kitchen knife in there.
You watch that postal inspector need a knife, and you're never gonna be caught without one again.
The fear is definitely in there, and it's getting flustered, but trying to stay as focused as it can to grab things. Change your clothes. Okay, let's go.
And that's Delta Green in a nutshell, right? Flustered, lack of information, lack of control. The best you can do is create circumstances that give you the best advantage. How do you plan for that? Who knows? But you pack this, you pack that, you hope for the best. It's optimistic, Agent North's view on things. You already see Dr. West having those little bits of information keeping around, and one by one they will accumulate until either something goes wrong on a mission, or you get so much knowledge that you become the mission. No one retires from Delta Green. But that's something for a future you to worry about. Included in the text message, of course, are the normal bits of where to meet. The agency will provide you with plane tickets here and there. For those of you in the military, sudden orders come in for deployments. Dr. West, there'll be paperwork for the hospital to say that you've been asked to go do such and such. Agent Gilmore, you're a freelancer, correct?
Oh, no, I work for the University of Chicago. I work for the University of Chicago. They're quite used to me not showing up as often as I should, though. So I just send a text message to the person I usually report to. It's fine. I can do my work from anywhere. I just keep their shit in order. Someone has to.
Don't need to be in the office. That's what VPNs are for.
Mm-hmm.
And Agent Linda, you have a private practice. Do you have to cancel any appointments or?
I go through just oh god, no, blah, blah. Make a couple of text messages. Just again, awfully flustered. He's not brilliant at this, but he's like, okay, it has to be done. Blah. And it gets it done as straightforward and as little conversation as possible.
Is Agent Linda the kind of a texter who only uses the one finger and you're spelling out the words one letter at a time?
100%. Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
So-
and we'll comfortably just text back one word. And that's it.
So several hours later, the patients get the message. Well, it won't be the first time. Mental health care in America, people getting shuffled around. But their concerns are not your concerns anymore. The patients, Dr. West, that have to be rescheduled, Agent North, the train that needs to be moved, Agent Gilmore, the tickets that someone else is going to have to handle, Agent Linda, the patients who will have to wait another week. That is not your problem. Because as of 11 a.m., when those messages come in, you have only one concern. Each of you is located near enough in the Midwest. University of Chicago, of course, right there. Dr. West, Agent North, they were able to activate you for Tennessee, so you're in the woods. Agent Linda, likewise the same. Unlike previous encounters where you met at a federal office or some such kind of thing, in this case, you have been directed to fly into the nearest airport, probably O'Hare, grab yourself a rental car, and make your way to a gas station, more like a truck stop, not a huge truck stop, but definitely the kind of place that's geared towards the long haul type, and meet someone there. You don't know your handler, but it's pretty easy to find them. I have very much a 45-year-old former police type, had nothing but fast food and donuts, barrel-chested, long beard that he wasn't able to trim up or keep together, hair's a bit of a mess, eyes bleary-eyed. Definitely the I was not supposed to be at work today face. Also carrying a briefcase in a truck stop. Let's start with two things. One, this whole scenario leading up to this point, the screaming, the panic, all of that together. I need everyone to roll sanity for me. The memories of Delta Green operations are never pleasant, but there was something acute and powerful about that nightmare vision that burst into your head. And now you've been dwelling on it for the duration of a drive or a flight. Dr. West is making a face.
I mean, I got a 50 out of 51, so
Oh, just
barely.
Put it together.
I got a 61 out of 60.
Oh.
Well, keep that 6 handy as a D6. I will need you to roll.
Gross. I swear to God, if I start this off with
That was the 6, wasn't it?
I say you don't need to say anything. We could tell.
yeah, yep.
Agent North is 6. Agent Linda's giggling. That sounds smug to me. Are you okay?
58 out of 60.
Yeah. On the cusp, but Agent Gilmore.
That screaming wasn't as therapeutic as I would have hoped. That was a 91 out of 50.
Ooh, not taking this well at all. So that'd be a 1d6 from you as well. This kind of makes sense, though. The two people with some training in psychology, a medical understanding of trauma, better able to process it than the run ragged super soldier and the I was just here to fix the computers agent.
Yeah, I rolled a 2.
We'll dig into why Agent North took it so personally later. But for now, I'll let you roll a much less traumatic dice. How does that sound?
Is there a much less traumatic role to make in Delta Green generally?
That's a great question.
This was not in the rule book. Maybe that's why it's going to feel better. Can I get everyone just to roll a D100 for me? Roll 2D10. We'll determine who gets here first and in what order.
Oh, well, I rolled a 94, so this is really messing with my head because I am always on time, like 10, 15 minutes early. So if I am the last one here, yeah, I am taking this shit real hard.
I got an 86.
36.
73.
Seems a bit out of character for Agent Gilmore to be the one who makes it here most efficiently. Or maybe it is. Are you the kind of person who normally shows up on time?
Not so much, but she also does drive fast. So, or as fast as her like clunker of a car will get her there. She's not the most inconspicuous person whenever she's driving either. There's rock music blaring very loudly out the window as she pulls up and slams the car door and swaggers out. What's our handler's name? If you said it, I didn't catch it.
No, and you would generally never know. Names aren't a thing in Delta Green.
I know,
the less
but
you
what-
know each other, the better.
What do we refer to them as? Like, do we have like a agent something?
There was no information given in the piece. There's normally a call and response, a duress signal, or sorry, a challenge and response is what the term would be. So you would say a phrase, for example, like, weird weather today, and they would say, yeah, but it's seasonal, or something specific enough to that no one would say by accident. And because it's fun for me, I think you would all have your own. So, Agent Gilmore, how do you verify a handler's identity? What phrase would you use?
You've got toilet paper on your shoe.
Oh, God, it's the fourth time today. Have a seat.
Hate being told what to do.
So in my head, I'm like, oh, you are in the wrong line of work with that attitude. But that is not something the NPC would say. He's a professional but tired man. The handler's role in this universe is to just get the agents to go where they need to go and to know as little as possible. Keep tabs, so in case something goes wrong, they can report back. But this is definitely an organization where you don't know the whole picture. You don't. How many Delta Green agents are there? You have no idea. So far as you know, there's like 4, and you met the other 3 of them the last time you were on a mission, right? The fact that the handler exists at all, it very cell design structure, everyone operating on the bare minimum amount of information. In this case, the bare minimum amount of information will include a few handouts, which we can talk about once the entire team gets here. Next on my list, and I would say about 10 minutes later, is going to be Agent Linda.
Mhm.
Agent Linda, did you drive?
Yep, drive.
What kind of car does our can't text, very excitable Dr. Friend drive?
Probably the most sensible car you've seen, and probably in the most boring color. If there's a beige car, going for the beige car.
The car equivalent of the couch in every grandma's house. Just gets the job done, no frills.
Yep, that's the one.
Mm-hmm. Must have been a nightmare when you went to buy it, and they were trying to get this. They were trying to sell you on the Bluetooth so it would connect to your phone. And
No idea. Why does it have blue teeth? I have no clue.
Well, Agent Gilmore, attending to the documents, maybe making conversation. You are then interrupted by Agent Linda, who shows up. And Agent Linda, what was your call and response phrase?
The bats are in the belfry.
I'm a terrible storyteller because my first thought was, what? It's the 4th time this week, but I've already used that one. So I suppose the correct phrase would be vampire bats or fruit bats. And you also sit down. Now, though, Agent Gilmore, you've met other Delta Green agents, not this one. What is your first impression of your coworker?
I lean over and whisper to the handler, "Whose grandpa is that?"
He just looks down at his coffee, looks back at you. Says, you know I don't know the answer to that question.
But is it safe to have someone that old along for the ride for something like this?
Good question.
I'm only 43.
Oh,
43.
oh. It's been a rough 43, huh?
Oh, well, that's slightly rude. Hello. How are you this morning? How
You say rude, I say honest. Hi. I guess you're supposed to call me Agent Gilmore.
Good. Gilmore, pleasure to meet you. I'm Agent Linda.
Oh, nice to meet you, Linda. I would yeah, interesting. Hi.
Hello.
The handler drumming his fingers, looking at his watch. Over to the waitress. The waitress comes by, has seen some new arrivals. We're gonna say she's in her late 60s, maybe mid 60s. Hair definitely gone white, short-ish, a little curly, maybe down to chin level. She approaches and loudly popping gum as she speaks. Can I get you two anything to drink?
Oh, coffee. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Preferably not stale coffee.
The coffee sounds wonderful. Thank you very much. I would appreciate it.
Making a very lazy big scrawl on her little waitress notepad. 2 coffees. Room for milk, room for sugar?
Nah. Black's fine.
Oh, 4 sugars for me.
All right. Another huge pop of gum. As she walks off, the pop coinciding with another jingle of the door with an 86. Dr. West would be the next one in the room, if I recall.
Yes.
Dr. West, you can spot this gathering from a mile away. There's no other reason why those 3 people should be together unless it's some kind of weird family intervention for the rebellious adult daughter. It's suburban Illinois, so you never know, but given who else is occupying this truck stop, that's probably who you're meant to go see. What is your challenge and response phrase?
I walk up and I look at the person and I say, "Who gets married on Halloween?"
What? It's the 4th time today. No, the response would be, oh god, no. I like the first one, actually. That's kind of funny. I'm trying to put together a joke about kids these days, but I'm not getting there very quick. So everyone in chat, you can put a tick in the boo storyteller column. We'll come back to that later. Regardless, the response is met, and at this point delivered with I'm getting kind of tired of this, who the fuck else could I be attitude. He's visibly agitated about the amount of time this is taking, looking nervously towards exits, watching everyone. There's an air of frustration and paranoia that Dr. West, you have probably seen in people before. However, that's normal for handlers. What might not be normal are your co-workers. Agent Gilmore, looking ripped straight out of NCIS, your plucky computer technician character. She has dyed hair, for God's sake. And Agent Linda, who I, just based on what I know so far, is reading the ingredients on the back of the sugar packets.
Yep.
Is that fair? Okay.
Yep. Oh, no.
I'm stroking his beard. His beard while he does it.
Always. It's glorious.
Yeah.
Ingredients. Sugar.
Right.
Yes. You have to do the... Come on, Aaron.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm afraid I'm going to hit my microphone if I do it. So I'm being conservative. But yes, Dr. West, how does this compare to the last crew that you went to work for?
I mean, I think the last time I entered a room, there was somebody bouncing a pen on their nose. So, but Agent Sutherland proved himself. So I have hope, at least, that they'll surprise me in the end.
Talents come in the strangest packages, in the strangest doddering packages, in the strangest insolent packages. Everyone has a skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, This one is going to be a bit of a curious reunion, isn't it? Agent North, before we get there, I would like to know why you are the last person to arrive.
Honestly, I got a little caught up talking with Austin about everything, and I didn't have an alarm set because I usually don't need alarms, but the events of the morning kind of frazzled me, and it threw everything off, and so I ended up leaving about 15-20 minutes later than I wanted to, and then, I accounting for traffic and things, the flows, everything just got a little mixed up, but that's okay. I'm here. It's fine.
What did you tell him?
I mean, same as always, right? I've got orders. I have to go. He sees my go bag. He knows that bag. He knows that means that I have to go right then. But we were just talking about the morning, and he was incredibly concerned based on what he saw. Wanted to check in, make sure I was feeling okay. Insisted that I have a little bit of food because for some reason he thinks that like Monsters and Hot Chip, not really a good diet, and was a little concerned that maybe it was a nutrition issue.
Wait. Above table question. It's not?
No. This is my way of shaming you. Low key.
Okay.
Just
going back to my notes here and putting that down as well. Screaming is therapy.
Monsters and Hot Chips.
Don't eat. Okay. No, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I get so he comes to you and says, "Hey, about the screaming," and you're like, "What screaming?" And he's like, "That like minute-long shriek of agony that you burst out at the foosball table and that we didn't talk about. Like, what's going on with that?" And then your response is, "Sorry, I have to get my go bag and go."
Well, so we didn't talk about the screaming ahead of time, and because he had to get back and I had to get back. And then when the orders come in, I went and grabbed my go bag and I met up with him to just let him know, like, hey, I've got to go. And that was when he thought was the most opportune moment to talk about it, since it was just the two of us. But
that motherfucker ambushed you.
I know. Really inconsiderate.
The gall.
I know.
Well, even if that is lingering in your mind, I imagine your thoughts are about to change when you see Dr. West. Does Dr. West actually have the same pink, glorious hair?
No, Dr. West actually has sort of like strawberry blonde hair, but it'd be pulled back into the same kind of bun. She just looks like a mom. She's in her mid-30s.
I mean, all things considered, Agent North, for what you've been together, I bet you could recognize that strawberry blonde bun from a mile away.
Probably.
At this point, yeah. Especially on a job, there's only so many looks you can have, and seeing that in here in this place, yeah. Oh yeah.
Professionalism dictates that you introduce yourself first. Are you? I guess in my head, I would imagine you are approaching from behind, that Dr. West can't see you, and the first thing she will hear is your challenge phrase, which is,
"Don't skip leg day."
In the future, I'm going to need you to refrain from choosing things that I don't know anything about. It's very difficult to improvise off of. You're speaking French to me. It says, yesterday was leg day, today's cardio.
I'm so sorry. I don't respond with that in person. That's just that is a V comment, because But
so, Dr. West, you hear, "Don't skip leg day," in the same voice that not too long ago you heard, "No, I don't think he knows how to get the lightning gun off of his hand." What's the face you make? What's like the immediate face reaction?
I imagine it is definitely like a quick like look to just be like, is my brain playing a trick on me? Because there's the times where you're like out at a restaurant and stuff, you hear a voice and you swear you've heard that voice before, and you look around and you're like, I've never seen that person before in my life. And then it's the look, it's the notice, it's the it's the at least of the, I know this, like, I've worked with this person before, I know how they work. So maybe there's like my shoulders are a little tense, and there's like the sudden just relaxing of my shoulders a little bit, and just sort of turning back, not brief eye contact, maybe a small nod, and then just sort of job.
Agent North?
Locking eyes with Dr. West, give the little nod. There are time for pleasantries later, but we have business to get to, and I'm the last one here. So I quickly take my seat and get right to business.
Well, if you ever wondered if it was Agent North or an alien occupying Agent North's body, the speed with which she pushes right past any personal interaction or semblance of emotion and directly into work should confirm her identity. Your handler, at this point, has shoved the small stack of documents, only 3 or 4 pieces of paper, towards the last 2 arrivals and launches immediately into the brief. Your destination today is the Olympian Holobeam Array. It's a new high-tech physics lab not far from Fermilab, run by some researchers, other nerds at the University of Chicago. It's got some DOE money in it. The Office of Science is behind there. There's also some private donors and some venture capital types. Anyway, based on the website, they're studying the theory that, and he kind of squints at the paper, space itself is a 3-dimensional hologram cast on a 2-dimensional surface. And then just looks back up at you. I have no idea what that means. Do not ask me. Anyway, the program is concerned because, and he kind of like at this point realizes how he's pushing through this. The program is concerned because there might be some secret Air Force technology or research money involved in here. Some things that might have been, that haven't been as terminated as we thought they might be. And we have some concerns about the donors who are funding the array. Now, at 10 o'clock this morning, the array went online for the first time. Whatever the technology going in there, I don't understand it. They haven't explained it to me. There was some kind of power surge, something tripped, something went wrong. It was only a few minutes later that the people there checked in with DOE and said everything is fine, but, in our business, you can't be too careful when it comes to apparently probing the multiverse. So your job is to go under the guise of a Department of Energy inspection team, making sure that, the containment fields are intact. No one from the EPA shut down the ghost grid or whatever it is. Make sure everything's under control. Any questions? Understand in the beginning, of course, I will probably have very few answers.
You said 10 a.m.? Like, on the dot, 10 a.m.
He looks down at a yellow legal pad. Yeah, exactly 10 a.m. down to the picosecond or whatever.
I get a little confused look on my face, and I'm going to take a look at the other agents' faces, because 10 a.m. is when I started screaming.
Yeah, I definitely have a look on my face.
I'm opening my notepad.
Yeah, of kind of just incredulity,
I'm just taking a sip of my coffee. I haven't really tied the 2 events together. I was half asleep. So, and I'm also thinking, why in the world would I ask him questions when he just used the term ghost grid?
No Ghostbusters fans in the IT department at the University of Chicago, but that is quite all right. So just to be absolutely clear, that there's some glances going around. There's some suspicious kind of overall behavior, but no one is saying anything out loud about what happened, right?
Not now. I figure, based on the look that I catch from Dr. West, as I notice that, like, Gilmore, deer in the headlights, not going to touch it. Linda's going through his notebook, but Dr. West, there's something there. And obviously there's a reason that we're back here together. So I'm going to wait, because, I mean, unless Dr. West says anything right now.
No, I think I would approach it at a later point. Like, after this thing, to be like, okay, this happened. Because maybe they don't know it happened, and maybe I don't want Delta Green to know that I randomly started screaming at 10 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in line with the American vision of work, that you do not share your mental health concerns with your employer. Why would Delta Green be any different?
Just worried about the the tome rot, which actually I guess is a good thing to ask. I'm trying to figure out a way. How would I ask about tome rot in a way that doesn't automatically scream weird thing that I'm saying that if anybody overheard would be very strange and stand out?
Well, ask that above table. Ask the question just as you ask the question you want to ask, and then we'll play around it.
Sure. So my question ultimately is, what are like the major, like, why are they concerned about tome rot? Like, what are the reasons that is a concern that they specifically have in this instance?
Your handler will say, honest to God, all I know is that there've been anomalies. It's unclear. Someone who makes way more money than me is worried about it. Therefore, I am worried about it. Therefore, you are worried about it.
Great. Okay. How do we get in?
Hold up a second.
Oh.
His phone starts vibrating on the table. He picks it up. Hello? Yeah. All right. Thanks. Turns it off, sets it back down on the table, and says, well, there was another power surge about a minute and a half ago. No one knows how, no one knows why, but that means that this briefing is concluded. You have places to be.
Okay. Final question. How do we get in?
Yeah. Opens up the briefcase. There are badges from the Department of Energy. You will be inspectors, but this credentials you as a member of that team. Don't push your luck. If they go into a database looking for inspectors, they're not going to find your name. So you need to be, the usual about it. Worst case scenario, you want to pop your own cover, bring in your own bureaucracy, that's on you. It's mostly a bunch of science nerds. Can't expect it's going to get that weird. But that's the best we can do on short notice.
Question for the handler. What is the time of the second anomaly?
Well, I tell you what, time frame is going to be pretty important for this scenario. So how about this? We will take a nice 5-minute break on the hours to make sure that no one's going to push too hard through the adventure and all that. On that break, I will get you a complete timeline as it evolves, which we can also share in the video and so on. Does that sound fair?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Well, let's all go take care of ourselves. That includes you in the audience. Even if you're not thirsty, drink water. Even if you're not hungry, stand up, flex your legs, get your blood moving. Your body will thank you for it later.
Scarlet's gonna come after you if you don't hydrate. Look at that face. She's serious.
That makes me want to stop drinking right now, though. Please come to the States and come hang out.
We're going to work through the hydration conversation on our end. You can have yours with your partner or your nearest friend. We'll see you in 5 minutes. And we're back. Everyone has secured the necessities for a streaming environment, and we will return to the story. Agent North, to answer your question, the timeline so far is as follows. At 1000 hours, 10 a.m., the Olympian Holobeam Array went online, and you all had some experiences with that. You would have arrived for the briefing at about 1500 hours, 1510, which is just 3 to 3:10 p.m. At 1528 hours, that is when the phone call, thereabouts, the phone call came in or the surge happened, one of those things. You would have found out around 1528. Based on the distance between the truck stop and the array, you will make it there at about 5 p.m., give or take a few minutes.
Awesome. Thank you.
As part of your commute, you can review the information. I have provided everybody with the org chart of who's there, some background information that your handler would have passed on to you, doing a bit of the legwork. After all, you're on a schedule. And then also, just for player reference, a map of the site and then a map of the interior. We'll bring those up on the screen as it becomes necessary, so the viewers can stay appraised. But that, in general, is the information that you would have had access to scour, to go over. We can assume your agents know everything on there pretty much by heart as the scenario continues. There is one last piece of information that your handler would have given you, which is the core directives of Delta Green, the basic mission brief that comes with every single thing you do for the program. There are only 5, and it's very, very simple, but they are priorities in this order. 1, stop the incursion. Gather intelligence on the site to ascertain the nature of what's going on and the best means of stopping it. Priority 2, obscure the incursion. Minimize the awareness that other people have of the event to prevent the damage from spreading. Keep as many people as possible from being exposed. Third priority, obscure Delta Green's involvement. If possible, you should leave no identifying traces behind. That includes computer records, metadata from phone calls or email, blood, hair, fingerprints, anything. Under no circumstances are you to reveal your true purpose or the existence of Delta Green. That goes all the way to, like, if you get arrested, you take the fall. Have a great story about why an ISA intelligence agent was murdering people in a Holobeam array. You cannot mention Delta Green. Fourth priority, secure any advanced technology, unconventional materials, anything that seems non-terrestrial or, in the business, quote, strange, end quote. Fifth priority, save as many lives as possible. That's also where your lives come in. So far as the program is concerned, there are 4 things you should be worrying about before do I get to make it home after this. You've all been on missions before, so I'm not gonna put you through too much of the rigmarole about explaining that to one another or going through it. That just means there is a drive. Is there anything, aside from this information that you have, the research angle is taken care of, is there anything that you would want to handle otherwise as you make your trip to the array?
Did we, like, I explicitly introduced myself to Linda in character. Did Dr. West or Agent North and I introduce ourselves, or do I still not know how to refer to them?
Yeah, there wouldn't have been time for that during the briefing, but yeah, unless it's a very awkward car ride, you can go off on a limb and say that you would have exchanged your information and your respective expertise.
Okay.
I do imagine, though, that once the car ride did start happening and, we were away from all of this, I would finally mention the whole screaming part and at least get that out of the way.
You gonna bring that up for the whole class?
At least Agent North, and if the other 2 hear.
Well, I don't remember the exact quote, but H.P. Lovecraft once said that the most merciful thing about the human mind is its inability to correlate the entirety of its contents. Of course, with a big enough brain and some help, you can correlate away. So now we are in a position where what you thought just happened to you and is weird, now happened to all of you at the exact time this thing you are visiting turned on. Everyone roll sand.
Again.
26. I've already come to terms with the weirdness of this. I figured it all out. That was why the sand damage was so bad before, because I was thinking too much about it. But I figured it all out now. Yeah.
33.
Oh, critical. Well done.
Crit.
That explains why you are so cavalier about bringing it up. Because you're like, I mean, I just make whatever. It's not a big deal to me.
It explains things and is a clue. It is a thing to work off of.
Excellent point.
It is probably horrifying in the end, but we cannot think about that right now.
8, having a logical explanation has made me feel a little bit more reassured about it. So that is a nice, clean 8. 8.
18.
Yeah, so no one takes anything. That's 0 across the board. Only would have been 1 if you failed. The existence of weird things is not a problem, but it would have been a little unsettling. So yeah, it turns out the 4 of you experienced the same thing at a very curious time with the rest of that. What are the thoughts bouncing around the car as you dissect that little nugget?
Well, weirdly, my first thought is that we did not have anything happen at the second surge.
Yeah,
and that is weird. Because I would expect that there's something about us that's tied to whatever happened, which is why the four of us had it happen. Granted, I don't know because we didn't talk about it in front of the handler. I don't know if the handler experienced anything about it. But you know, the fact that we didn't get it on the second time makes me think that no, he probably didn't. Doesn't know anything about that.
And that's the way Delta Green wants it. You know, had he been involved in some way, it would be not as great for the operation if everyone was compromised in the same way. He needs to have some professional distance. That way he can watch and see what goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He can leave us behind when it all goes wrong.
Basically.
Wait, it was just the four of us? I was alone. Were any of you around anyone? Did anybody else scream?
Nobody around me, but I was definitely not alone when it happened. Definitely got some weird looks.
Yeah, I was alone when it happened. I was alone at home.
So are
Fascinating.
they trying some mind control bullshit?
I just what is everybody's job in the car right now? Who's driving? Where are we seated?
It would be funniest for me if Agent Linda was driving, but I don't think you would let that happen.
Probably not.
Right.
35 miles an hour in the left-hand lane down the highway, blinker still on, trying to get to the Holobeam Array.
Uh,
I mean, I think Agent North, actually, you being the most trained and the one.
I was just saying it's either gonna be I feel like it's gonna be me or Agent North.
Sure. No, I mean, that makes sense. So I'll take the driver's seat and Dr. West is in the passenger seat next to me, because we already have that established relationship. But as Gilmore talks about this mind control bullshit, like all you see are like these green eyes, like look up into the rearview mirror and just stare at you, wondering if you're like an escaped patient from somewhere and if like you are missing, because what are you talking about?
I feel
What
like
a
that would be
weird
the
thing.
weirdest or the least weird thing that we could possibly encounter at this point.
Not given the things that we've experienced, no. It's just highly implausible based on our experiences.
Point of order. Your last Delta Green mission involved people being mind controlled by something.
Yeah, mind control.
Maybe we're just
by, like,
hoping
a
we don't have to do that
creature,
again.
But like that's not. It wasn't the same, right? And it was a matter of proximity. We're not. It's not this
Okay.
like.
We were all scattered around. We were not all in the same place. Those were all people in the same place.
We can
So
logic.
it's more
We can
powerful
logic our
now.
way out of this.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
definitely logic. I've checked myself for protoplasm.
Yeah, still got the drops. Just like put a little
Mhm.
bit in the water every day.
Yep.
I low key kind of would have ordered bottled water at the rest stop. I don't drink tap water
Same.
anymore.
I don't drink
tap
water
let's
either.
go with that, because I like the idea that as part of you getting together, either you or Agent North or Dr. West, you still have some of that material, and before when you're getting into the car, you're just like to Agent Linda, to Agent Gilmore, like, hey, can I see your hand for a second?
Just
Yeah. Just
and then
a little. It doesn't turn purple, does it?
No.
Okay, thank God.
I can't handle that in 4 hours. That's too big of a story.
But my mind control conspiracy question was totally out of line. That wasn't weird at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah, you can do weird chemical testing on me for no reason whatsoever, but me thinking that someone,
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Well, yeah, that's the handler did not have any information on that topic. In case you're worried about missing it, it's above table. Had you asked it, I'm like, I don't fucking know why, and then like start
Okay.
taking notes to send back upstairs, right? So, in this case, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of was. It felt like something that he would have shared with us if he had that information. So that's one of the reasons I wasn't particularly forthcoming with it.
Mm-hmm. The only other piece of information that I think you might want to know in terms of the power surge theory is that the Holobeam Array is hooked up to the grid. It has an industrial strength connection from like Illinois Con Edison or whoever. So there is a local backup generator, but it was not operating at the time of the surge.
Okay. So we are there as Department of Energy folks because of the power surge. We're just investigating to see what happened.
Mm-hmm. The
Okay.
Department of Energy in the United States is responsible for wacky research and nuclear weapons. Those are the two things that they handle. So yeah, they run the labs in Tennessee where they make uranium. They run the plants in Texas where they build nuclear weapons, but also, Sandia National Labs, the Fermi Lab, a lot of physics, highly experimental physics and computing is in their purview. But you would just be people coming in and saying, hey, there's a project. We're up to some kind of strange things around. We're just making sure that there's not like a weird chemical leak, that, you didn't scatter plutonium into the forest. Just, making sure everything's okay.
Okay.
I definitely would have made sure figure out who's going to take lead and what our exact plan is going in there.
That is a good question.
Is anybody a physicist by any chance?
Oh, I have some endowment. Yes. Lab table. What do I know about this facility personally? Do I know anything about it?
The facility itself, probably not, but you've heard of the theory that they're talking about, this holographic universe. It is widely considered by serious physicists to be just batshit crazy, but like there's enough of a chance that it might work that like someone with some extra money and curiosity, like, I mean, why not? And what's the worst thing that happens? You look and it's not there. So you wouldn't call it reputable research, but you can also see why someone might be interested about it. The gist of the theory, and this is for kind of everybody generally, is that the universe we live in, this three-dimensional thing, is just a reflection of some two-dimensional other space. So, like if you imagine there's like a film negative, and when you shoot light through it, there's a projection on the other side. It's an IMAX projection in this case because we're talking about 3 dimensions. And that's how the universe works, according to them. The implications being that, like, if there's a 2-dimensional real universe somewhere, that you could then, like, break the laws of, like, faster than light travel, right? Because you could, fold space together and then work in 2 dimensions for a second, pop out back in 3. Or the way that quantum particles interact, you could abuse that. It's all super complicated, probably not real, but I mean, like, oh my god, if it was. And the priority is reflected in the number of staff here. Like the Sandia lab has thousands of employees. This place has 10. The billions of dollars going into Tennessee to work on that stuff. This place you could build for 100 million, right? It is, whether or not you feel better about the fact that the weird thing is happening in the Fringe Science Center is a separate question. But in terms of serious physics inquiry, Agent Linda, I believe, would diagnose this as probably bullshit.
Well, try and explain that as best I can. To be honest, I'm quite interested in just why we're affected before we even get there. That's the fascinating part. And that's what we should all be aware about. Everyone be aware of that. We must find that answer, if anything, for my own curiosity.
After working with the program for so long, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. There's no such thing. It just feels very strange. Very strange. I'm wondering who felt the second surge though, but
That is a very good question.
Well, I know one place you can try to find answers. The program's not going to be much help there, but the good news is you're already on the way to the place most likely to be able to answer your question.
hooray.
Hooray!
So as the drive completes, we'll talk a little bit about the Holobeam Array. It is alone on what is a 16-acre woodland park, semi-rural, semi-suburban, in the unincorporated area just outside like a suburban city limits. Like in Illinois, there's Chicago, and then like next to that is like Joliet, and then next to Joliet is farmland and trees. And you're kind of in there. It's close enough to the city where someone could commute back and forth for work, but it's far enough away where you can run a secret DOE laser program and not have people ask questions. You will not be able to find it on Google Maps. That information would not be there. You'll have to rely on the written directions. which leads you down an actual, like, no shit, real labeled road to an unlabeled driveway leading into woods. There's a sign that says authorized personnel only. The language is just close enough to government to give you on the right track. Otherwise, it just looks like, you know, beware of dog, owner has guns and is a U.S. Marine kind of signage that you would see in a rural area. Scarlet is not familiar with the kind of don't take my gun, Molon Labe conservatives that live in rural America. Beyond that sign, you make the right turn. Now it's gravel. It winds back and forth to the woods for about 100 meters. And that is when you will arrive at a solid steel gate. Not bars, a big slab. To the left and the right, there is a concrete wall, several feet thick, about 10 feet tall, which, in your experience, Agent Linda, having kept up with the journals and stuff, you would say that that's a pretty serious amount of security for a laboratory. It makes sense when you're dealing with the H-bomb, but if this is just some lasers, that feels like a bit much. That wall surrounds all 8 acres of the actual facility space. So you have like 8 acres of woodland, gigantic wall, 8 more acres of woods, complex. So kind of put that in your head. We'll bring a map up that kind of explains that as well. Talk more about what's on the inside later, but when you approach the gatehouse, there is a professional, friendly, sharp-eyed guard on duty, a private contractor wearing khaki, the khaki uniform and tan Stetson hat of the Breckenridge Corporation. They are a private security service that has a specialty in protecting high-value, low-profile targets. So there are certain companies who, like, they guard Beyonce, right? And everyone knows who Beyonce is, so they have to provide a very visible kind of deterring presence. There are other companies that, like, if you're going to travel with the recipe for all secret spices at KFC, you have it in your briefcase. No one's going to be able to guess what that is, but it is extremely high value, so it takes a different kind of approach to security. Those are the folks that's the kind of thing that Breckenridge is up to. There's the gate. There's a gatehouse, ordinary security booth like you would see in, you know, like a hospital parking lot, something like that. There's a phone that you can see hanging inside, a few dozen video monitors. You squeeze a look at them, it's the camera perimeters. But aside from that, you also notice that on both sides of this gate are cameras pointing directly down at your car so that they can record your faces no matter where you are sitting in the vehicle. As you pull up, I'm assuming you don't just blast through the gate, that you're actually going to stop.
Yeah.
And this fit Hispanic man, probably in his 40s, comes out. He has a small clipboard. And he presents himself actually without much aplomb. He doesn't say where, he doesn't say like, welcome to the Holobeam Array. He just walks up very professionally and says, are you scheduled for a visit?
Sorry, quick question. I know that we're here as DOE people. Did we have a scheduled thing? Okay, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Surprise inspection.
Yeah. I mean, yes, we're here from the Department of Energy.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Can I see your IDs?
Absolutely. And I'll hold out my hand to everybody in the car, and I'll pass him mine as I'm waiting for the others.
Yep.
And he collects them. He makes the notes on his clipboard, writing all that down, checks the names against what's there. Very professional. Plenty of, you go to TSA, sometimes they just hold it up and like, yep, that's an ID, put it back down, send you on your way. Like, no, he's making a loop around the car. So he holds up Agent North's fake ID and is looking at her, making sure the eye color and the hair color match, looking for any notable marks, right? Like a mole or shape of the mouth, things like that. Goes the entire way around the process. It takes a little bit of while. He's taking it quite seriously. As you see him going, you will notice that not only is he carrying a sidearm on his person, but you peek over, there's also some heavier ordnance sitting in the security booth. That this guy has an assault rifle that's ready to go in case you try to do something stupid. It's a very high level of security. At that point, he will, once the IDs, he hands those back. He says, just a moment. He goes into the booth, picks up the phone, has a short conversation, hangs it up, comes back out and says, all right, hopefully this won't take too long.
Here's hoping. I'm sure everything's just fine.
Without any other conversation, the gate will open and you can proceed, but if you want to try to get something past Mr. Gonzalez here, sorry, Officer Gonzalez, you're welcome to do so before you proceed inside.
I'm trying to decide if asking him actually, yeah, fuck it. Sorry, just you haven't noticed anything strange happening today, correct?
Stranger than usual? He kind of is he making a face, the connotation being like stranger than like nerds doing fucking hyperspace geometry, but without actually explaining what's going on. It's more like a if you know, you know. With your human, you would also know that he's being evasive, that he's trained to not give up any information unless he has to. So he's not going to say, oh, like the explosion, in case you don't know that there was a surge or whatever.
Sure. I mean, I can make mention of the surge. I don't know how I would get there naturally. But
you could just say, well, did you hear anything about the surge that we are here to investigate because we're from the DOE, right? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Then I will. I'll say that. Do you know anything about the surge that happened at 10 a.m. this morning? At 1000 hours? That's how I would say that.
He'll says that. When it happened, he heard a crack, like thunder, way off in the distance. But, he's all the way out here, so who knows? But maybe like a transformer exploding, or those heavy industrial fuses when they blow, it can be pretty loud. But he didn't really put that much more thought into it.
No reports from anybody inside that anything happened. Nothing that they called you to help with.
No, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. Wouldn't say awesome. V's saying awesome. Agent North does not say awesome. Thank you very much. And then, unless anybody else has anything to ask.
No.
Great. Then drive on in.
As you make it through the gate, and once you're out of earshot from Officer Gonzalez, Agent Linda, you have enough knowledge in physics to know that thunder is strange. The weather is totally clear. It's not like there was lightning. And if there was a power surge, it would, like I said, have to be like a transformer exploding. But if the transformer had exploded, there wouldn't be power at the facility, right? They'd be waiting for the company to come in and fix everything. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to you.
Okay. I've got my notebook still out. Thunder does not sound quite right to me. We should try and look into that, if anything.
Well, it's certainly a place to start.
Aside from that small amount of weirdness, the rest of the drive up to the complex is going to be fairly uneventful. There are, we'll call them 4 buildings-ish. There is the small security hut outside what is the main building. They're all just plain concrete structures. Honest to God, the best thing that comes to my mind is if you've seen Jurassic Park where they go to turn on the power, there's just that plain sloped concrete structure, kind of bunker looking. So the hut is another security hut. It is next to this low slung kind of a little bit in-ground concrete structure. On the other side of that, from the parking lot where you stop, is the actual array. And there are, there's a larger, like, pyramidal, but like with a flat top structure. There are 4 of those arranged in a T shape. And then between them stretch these huge metal tubes of some kind. You'd think like an oil pipeline, a water main, something like that. It might not be steel, but that's what you're getting at. The tubes are quite long, in near enough 100 meters. There's no obvious connection between them and the building. But based on your briefing, you know that the computers in the workshop and those kind of things, the offices, the research equipment, that's all in the main building. And that the smaller structures out are the laser emitter and receiving equipment for conducting the Holobeam experiments. This guard hut, getting out of the car, collecting your equipment. Before we get to the guard hut, I will ask, what's the plan in terms of what you're carrying around?
Oh, like, are you asking if, like, I'm carrying my weapon?
There's that. Is Dr. West going to bring in a medical bag? Agent
Yes,
Linda,
I'm
are
gonna
you
bring in a medical bag.
Mm-hmm.
I have a old beat up backpack that has my laptop and some snack foods, some of them open in it. Not the most professional looking thing.
I have to know what kind of snack food. Takis?
So those like chili roasted pistachios and Pocky sticks and yeah, that's basically a lot of different kinds of nuts. I love walnuts and cashews, so those little a tin of like the mixed nuts. Yeah.
There's a lot in this bag.
Yeah, it's a big old backpack. It's just snacks in my laptop and then probably like a water bottle.
Yes, it's rattling around a bit as you sling it over your shoulder. Yeah, okay. No, just for me. I'm not gonna nickel and dime you and be like, no, you left the atropine in the car. I'm just kind of curious to when you approach this guard hut. I just want to know what the woman who is working there sees.
Yeah, medical bag. I was trying to think if I could get away with like hiding the gun in the medical bag.
I'm sure.
Yeah, just like buried under a bunch of like just medical supplies. So you open, you look, you see medical supplies. That's all you see. Mm-hmm. But gun is in there just in case things get hairy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave my AR-15 in my go bag, but I will have my pistol with me.
Mm-hmm. So approaching the hut, there is another polite but alert guard. Her name tag is Karen Hutchinson. She will check your IDs again, going back to the list, confirming everything super formal. But also, like Gonzalez, she is trained to not give more information unless you have a specific question or she's been authorized to talk to you. So,
I mean, I'd ask her the same thing we asked Gonzalez. What can you tell us? Like, what did you experience at 1000 hours this morning?
Mm-hmm. And I kind of like this vibe because you are asking these questions and Agent Linda is taking copious notes. So it actually looks like a real investigation as opposed to just, 4 CIA goons showing up, right? Henson gives a similar story. There are slightly more details and some things that are different. At the time of the surge, she said, she definitely heard like a big crack. Something like thunder or an explosion, and there was this white flash, like not like lightning, because like lightning's in one place. This was more kind of like everywhere.
Interesting. And when you say everywhere, like there's no like it wasn't directional. It's not like she could say, oh, it came from the terminals or it came from behind her.
If you want to push that, I mean, at this point, if you start asking probing questions, you realize that she's holding back a little bit. It might be nerves, it might be just professional training. But if you wanted to roll persuasion or human, anything like that.
I can try and persuade her to talk to us. This is why we're here, after all. We're investigating a thing.
Exactly.
Just help us do our jobs. We can get out of your hair.
Mm-hmm.
While she's doing that, can we see inside the office or the building that she's working in?
The little guard hut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can I like be glancing around while she's distracted to see if maybe there's any like post-it note or anything written down that might include me into being either passwords or security codes or anything. Like I'm assuming they're not supposed to have that stuff out, but older people get forgetful sometimes and they jot stuff down and have it lying around. Have
that true?
Note on the monitor.
Is that true, Agent Linda?
She's 38. She's 38 according to this sheet. Older people.
I'm 33 and I just said, hey, remind me to do this because I won't remember. So
well, let's say this. Go ahead, Agent Gilmore, roll alertness. We'll see if anything comes out of that. Agent North, what was your result?
27 out of 50.
Okay. So you do no, it's just the facts, ma'am. I'm just trying to get all the details as you understand them. And as you kind of as you start probing, what's your human, Agent North?
50. Yes, 50.
Okay. And I believe that Dr. West, Agent Linda, you also have a bit of human hanging around. So Agent North starts to kind of probe around this, ask the kind of investigative questions that you would need to. And those of you with that human skill will notice like a bit of surprise. Like, oh yeah. No, that's right. In the way that if you've ever worked with me and you remind me something that like I definitely had a conversation, and you remember such and such, like no, and, like it was about this, like oh yeah, that kind of like I don't remember remembering that kind of thing. And she says, well yeah, I mean, and now that I'm thinking about it, it wasn't actually like a white light, like pure white. It was more like a bluish white. And yeah, I mean, like I figured it would have come from the middle of the array, like where the lasers are. But no, it came from like everywhere. Like God, I don't know. Like you talk about like people have like migraine headaches, and you have like those flashes of light. They're inside your eyes, so they're like kind of everywhere all at once. Or like if you're sitting in the middle of like those spinny tubes at a carnival and like the lights all around you. It was like I don't think like now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think it came from anywhere.
Did you feel nauseous at all? Did you get sick? Anything like that?
Yeah, I'm also gonna push that as well. Like after it, follow up on that, then the nauseous, you feel sick and all that.
She says, I mean, honestly, I was a little, like, I was mostly disoriented. I mean, there for a second, it was like I couldn't remember what had happened, but no lingering effects afterwards.
Did any of us notice any lights? I'm just making sure that's not just part of the, because especially if she's lost time, I wonder if she screamed as well when it happened.
There was no lights for you. But if you want to roll sand, I'll extrapolate on your theory.
No, I'm good. But I just I'm trying to piece things together without getting in the weeds about it.
That's the problem with Delta Green. You have to figure out enough to solve the problem without figuring out so much that you become a problem.
A problem, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what she has to say about that. Aside from everything else, any questions you ask, it's going to be fairly routine, right? The normal workers came in. You're the only people who I do not see on a regular basis who are here. There were no like attack helicopters or UFOs, nothing like that.
Can we get this is I guess the question, this is like an in-character question, but above table, I'm sure we already have this information, but from her, can I get a list of who all checked in today, like who all signed in for work or who was supposed to be here today?
Yeah, that is actually the information that we gave you on the on that sheet.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool.
So looking here at the what's it called, the org chart. Jamie Campbell is the director. Dr. Campbell, pretty much always there. Helen Klinger, Philip Black, the two doctors who are researchers, they're always there. Ishi Takagawa and Evan Kozak, always there. Information technology specialist, always there. The security officers have 2 on, 2 off shifts, so they'll work for 12 hours and then be replaced. So Joe, Sherry, and Herbert Pimiot are not at work today. They will come in on the next shift. And the janitor, Marie Suarez, comes in like once a week to clean up the place. So she hasn't been in around and is not expected for a few more days. All of the other names did come into work today at that facility.
Okay, great.
And also, this is an above tip question for me. Do we also want to ask about the second power surge?
It's probably not a bad idea.
Because there's a second one that happened when we were at the thing, and see if
Yes.
it was like, should we ask about this?
Yeah, that's right into the same kind of conversation that they both had similar experiences. I'll give you the benefit of saying that you talked to Hernandez about it too. It was similar experiences both times. A loud crack, some kind of flash of light, depending on. Hernandez has less to say about it. He did not report the light, for example, but he would say, there was another crack. And if you ask him, it's just like they're blowing a transformer or a fuse or something. I'm a security guard. I don't know what the fuck electricity does or is. I mean, I know what it is, but not would be the kind of.
Sure. Well, great. Did Agent Gilmore end up finding anything?
What was your result?
I got an 18 under 20.
Okay. I have bad news for you about passwords. There definitely aren't passwords laying around. But in this security hut, you see the actual computer that runs the surveillance system, and it has the monitors not only for the perimeter fencing, but inside. A few monitors watching the main hallways inside the building. Nothing in anyone's office, nothing in the workshop, nothing in the labs, but the common areas are under observation. The computer, it's a very modern system, so it's not like a gas station. There's a VCR and a tape rolling. It's all digital recorded, stored instantly. It would be uploaded off-site in regular backups, but it also means that inside that security app, if you were so inclined, you could review the footage of anything that has a camera pointed at it.
Cool. All right. Yep.
As an industry standard, I believe they keep that for 72 hours locally, and then it shoots off to stay in an NSA warehouse somewhere. I don't know.
Would I have... So that's somebody that, like, once we get inside, I can be like, hey, can I review some footage or something? Or
yeah, if you ask the officer directly, she is immediately like, nothing's gonna happen unless you have permission from Dr. Campbell or Dr. Klinger. Like they run this point. If they're willing to help you, great. They are the DOE contact people. I am just here to do my job.
all right, I'll ask for them whenever I get inside. Thank you so much. You've been very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else before we head inside?
I can't think of anything.
Does since Linda kind of made that connection that like the like lightning would be kind of weird, does the blue light stand out to him at all? Does that sound like anything physics related? Sorry.
What's your physics, Agent Linda? Is it 50?
60.
60.
Mhm.
So yeah, in terms of white light, that part of lightning is okay. Yeah, we see it as white, but one of the reasons that we see it as white is because it's emitting energy in spectrums that the human eye cannot see. So you have the visible spectrum from Roy to V, and then what comes after V?
Ultra V?
Ultra V, right? And ultra V would be a bluish white in the way that the human eye can register it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is what Agent Linda would be able to kind of come up with, that she's describing ultraviolet light that's like pinging the 1 or 2 cones in your eye that have mutated enough to be able to kind of see that.
Okay.
No one let Anish Kapoor know about it.
Stuart Semple will be all over that color.
I do. Oh, right. The one who patented the thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not for nothing, there is a rare genetic disorder where certain people have cones that point one way or the other, or rods, I forget which one is which, who can see slightly further into ultraviolet or slightly further into infrared than normal humans.
That's so cool.
And they can see colors that no one else can.
I want that.
I think the one case that I've read about, and I might be making this up, so feel free to Google it, audience, now or players later, that it was causing headaches because there are things that give off ultraviolet light that we don't really plan around. So, like, you would see they would see like a halo around things that are interacting with, whatever. So, it actually kind of it was a bit of a pain in the ass.
That was my first, like, the moment you said that, I was like, ooh, I wonder if they get like more headaches than usual or something. So makes sense.
But yeah, lightning theory doesn't make sense for a lot of reasons. For one, just you hear a crack, but there's no light, right? Guy outside said no light. So can you have thunder without lightning? I mean, then the second piece is that even if there is lightning, which agent with the officer at the hut says, lightning doesn't generally happen everywhere at once, and the coloring is wrong. So Agent Linda, I think, would explain it as it sounds more like there was a burst of ultraviolet light from somewhere, and then somehow these people registered it, and then she can tell you the story about the cones.
I'll probably say that as we walk away.
So at this point, heading inside, there's no like real direction for you in terms of the scenario. I can tell you that Dr. Jamie Campbell is the one in charge, and will be if you go to anybody else, there's going to be I don't know, talk to Dr. Campbell first situation. In terms of how the organization works, the array is managed by Dr. Campbell. She is the chief researcher, assisted in that job by Doctors Helen Klinger and Philip Black. The atrium, which is where the laser supercomputer is managed by the chief engineer, Dr. Ishii Takagawa, assisted by a technician, Evan Kozak. The computer system in the like making sure all the stuff's plugged in sense is maintained by Jingfei Zheng, an employee of Olympian Advances assigned to this project. So they work for a different company and are here working on the computer system. Maria Suarez is the janitor and comes around, and you already know about the Breckenridge personnel. I've covered that they're on 12-hour shifts and such, which means the most logical place, and this is the last bit of railroading that I will do for you, is to start with Jamie Campbell.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
I mean, it makes the most sense. They're the head of the facility. They're going to supposedly, hopefully, know everything.
And lucky you, Jamie Campbell knows you're coming. So she is expecting you. When they've called ahead, there will be messages passed. So when you wrap your conversation with the female officer in this hut, she probably passes along that Dr. Campbell's ready to see you and is waiting to see you. When you proceed through the door into the main building, we'll put up the actual map of the joint now so that the audience and everyone can stay kind of appraised. But just inside that door, there's a table, a few couches. It's a bit of a common area. It looks like almost like a reception hall, but also a living room. And there is a gray-haired African-American woman, just rail thin, but with just radiating like steely determination. She is in her mid to late 60s, but gives every impression of, I have a brain the size of this galaxy. I will use every single spare second I have using it to solve the world's problems. That kind of determination. Obvious confidence, single-minded, almost monomaniacal about her field of study. Who is going to be taking the role of team lead, Agent North? Is it still you?
Unless somebody else wants to do it. Then I guess it's me. Yep.
I-
Silence is
I'm-
deafening.
To be fair, Dr. West, well, I definitely trust your skills in this. I have your back. So, and I'm probably doing like I'm doing things like looking at people, just be like, seeing if this is like ultraviolet, is this some kind of radiation, and is this in affecting people in a way I might know radiation affects people.
Okay.
You don't happen to have a Geiger counter in your bag, do you?
I don't know. Well, let me have a Geiger counter in my bag.
I mean, you have like a trillion in medicine. Geiger counter is not what you would bring. I would think you'd have a dosimeter, one of the small radiation badges kind of thing.
I mean, that seems like something I would probably have in like a medical kit.
In a God knows where Delta Green's going to send me bag.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't need to roll for it because you have so much medicine. Dr. Campbell is not showing signs of radiation poisoning, anything like that. Or it is so small, minor at this point that no one would know she has radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
Not like show up and people are bleeding from their eyeballs and shedding skin cells, right?
Yeah, it's just what I'm going to be on the lookout for this, because if they're exposed to any kind of radiation, that could start some bad things.
Comforting to know we're not at that point yet, though.
But on the other hand, that means if they've just started, now you're here, and you'll all get to experience it at the same time together. Maybe, who knows? Agent North, you introduce yourself as maybe not use the word lead agent, but you at least begin the conversation with Dr. Campbell. She is obviously in a great big hurry. Through that little beginning bit, you start with, "Hi, we're here from the DOE team," and she's like, "Yes, I know you're here. As you can see, everything is fine. We've had some power surges, but everything's operating, it's under control. Is there anything else I can help you with before you leave and I get back to work?" That's the general vibe of that beginning of the conversation.
Oh,
sure.
Whenever I see that she's impatient, I'll step in. Dr. Campbell, Gianna Gilmore, nice to meet you. That is not her real name. She knows better. So nice to meet you. I'm sure everything is just dandy, but I've been instructed that I at least need to take a look at your computers and security system and just give everything a quick look-see. If you can just direct me to who I need to speak to, you can be on your way, or you can help my colleagues here in their job description.
Yeah, she, of course, there's a tension in her face about how do I keep things from being disruptive, and what amount of disruptive am I willing to allow to get you out of my hair? Agent North kind of pegged that immediately. So when you say, yeah, I just need to go in and run DX diag camera on your hard drive and see what happens. If you approach it like that, especially with just kind of glossing over the details, her immediate thing is, "I don't have time for this." "Yeah, that's fine. The atrium is down there. If you need to talk to Hernandez or the other one, by all means, let them know. I'll say you have permission, whatever you need to see."
Thank you so very much. And I'll walk over at Agent North. I'll take a look there. If you all want to try to get ideas of other things going on, I'll see if there's anything specific.
Absolutely. I guess what time is it right now?
You would have arrived at 1700, so what, 5, 10, 15 minutes after that?
Okay.
We can say, yeah, you're coming up. Based on the timeline, they managed to get power back on. No, sorry, wrong. I was doing the mistake about the time frame and doing it in regular time, not zero time. Yeah, we'll say we're between 5:30 and 6 right now. That's our window. I'm gonna be keeping track of time in about 30-minute increments, just because that works as a storyteller.
Sure. Okay. Then yeah. Of course. Agent Gilmore. Go do whatever you need to do. Let's meet back at 1800 hours. That's 6 o'clock. Let's meet back at 1800 hours in the entry and just figure out, see if we can we'll compare notes.
Aye, Captain. I just walked in the general direction of the atrium.
Sure.
We will let Agent Gilmore make a right turn out of the lobby area, heading down the hall, the atrium at the very far end of the building. Assuming north is up on the east side. Agent Linda, Agent West. Sorry, you didn't go to medical school to be Agent West. Dr. West, Agent North. Are there other areas that you want to just leap right into? Do you have questions for Dr. Campbell?
I do have some questions for Dr. Campbell, but I was going to wait till Agent North. And mostly it's just going to be asking, like, hey, have you noticed anything weird, like, physically happening? Anybody getting sick?
Yeah, I mean, my questions are just going to be the same that we've asked so far. Like, tell us exactly what you experienced. These are the times that I have, anomalies, things like that, or like information. Mention the timeline specifically, so she knows that I'm not just bullshitting. But trying to like get through it quick, so because like I want her to know that I'm not here to waste her time.
Same. I'm gonna just try to be like, okay, and especially I'm gonna list off like symptoms of radiation poisoning, things like that, just in case, because they're doing some things where radiation may be involved, and I'm here to make sure everybody's healthy and fine, and that everybody can do their jobs properly, and just do that, and then just be like, okay, is anybody else experiencing any other kind of strange symptoms?
So, the only medical piece, Campbell will tell you that, yes, unfortunately, one of our researchers, Dr. Takagawa, fell unconscious around the time of the first power surge. He was working in his office. We are assuming it's around then. We heard the crash, and then I don't think she recalls who reported the information, who noticed it, but said that, yeah, he fell unconscious around the time of the first thing there. He's been like moaning, but not unresponsive, but kind of like out. If you ask her, she just thinks like he's asleep now. And none of them are medically trained doctors, so like they went through like the "Are you bleeding out of your ears?" cranial trauma check, and then after that they're like, well, if he wakes up, great. If not, like, we'll call somebody. But you were also told no one calls the emergency services to come to this place, right? Like, so they're trying to do what they can. So there's a bit of gratitude. I mean, like, if you're like, oh yeah, if you're a doctor, about that's what happened. If he's fine,
I'll go. I'll go just make sure he's okay. Maybe it's just something, and then I'll give him something that'll hopefully make him feel better or whatever.
Dr. Takagawa is in his office, currently asleep, dead, comatose, something. He's on his couch.
He's on his couch, hopefully fine.
I mean, like, he was breathing, right? If he was dead, they definitely would have called someone. But yeah, her explanation would be that he was stressed or was shocked, scared, something. They're just giving him some space. There's like 10% empathy there, and 90% I'm not going to let this man slow the work down. I will deal with him when the experiment's over. That is the kind of person you are dealing with. Agent Linda, what about you?
Agent Linda would have wanted to pick her brain a little bit, but seeming as she's wants to get this done and over with so she can go, it's just taking the notes. Listening behind, like, oh, interesting, someone passed out, okay. Or do I recognize this doctor's name at all, like, in circles?
No. And on that note, in terms of a clue for you, you actually don't recognize many of these people. They're not main big name scientists.
Okay.
I mean, like, they might have published once or twice, but who the big physicists are. You keep track, and it's not anyone who you recognize, which is a little strange, because if you're doing cutting edge research, you might want cutting edge physicists. But this is a very small team with a very narrow band of expertise. And I mean, even the drive up, had you just went into academic Google, you would have seen them mostly just working with each other, and not interacting with the bigger sphere of the scientific world. But to your first point, Dr. Campbell is willing to indulge you and explain what's going on. If you approach it as, I'm an inspector, can you tell me how this place works so I can do my job? She will give you the details. She won't just like hand you a brochure and fuck off.
Okay.
Here's the brochure for places people can't go.
In part because there's no brochure.
Damn.
A week from now, she'll have one. She'll have learned her lesson, and the next inspectors who come, she'll be like, here's the brochure. Takagawa.
Here's all the paperwork. Read it all. Leave us alone.
Yeah.
So just go ahead.
Oh, Agent Linda will smile and put his hand forward. Before you do rush off, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Archibald Linda. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm also quite into physics myself, but I haven't heard of any of your writings. What you specialize in is quite exciting. I know here for energy, but bit of a nerd.
It's difficult to see. There's a moment where he's trying to decide like which part of her brain gets to run this conversation. Is it the kind that every nerd has, where you're like, you're asking me about my hobbies? It's if it were a Discord DM, the response would start with, so here's the thing, and then you know you're in for a ride. Or the part that's like, is this person going to be able to keep up? You have a high enough physics that I think you can pass the sniff test, that she's willing to engage in a more serious way. She'll explain that, yeah, in part, their job is to keep so this facility works by testing this holographic theory. The lasers are kept aligned in a certain way. They run pulses of energy. They're measuring kind of like a background universe thing, looking for fluctuations in the readings from the beams. Either one beam is stable and the other's moving, or maybe they're both moving but in opposite directions. Just kind of like any patterns in that noise that would indicate there are two realities happening, right? Because if we only have one reality, the beam should just be the same forever. But if something is different or weird, they would be able to detect differences. The research team here is mostly responsible for maintaining that, or ensuring the lasers stay aligned, making the equipment run, and then they do all of their diagnostics based on the report that comes out of the computer. And she'll even chuckle a little bit because, you know, you're a scientist who grew up kind of before the explosion of hypercomputers and stuff. So she's saying, yeah, I mean, like D does most of the heavy lifting. D is the name that the computer staff have given to their machine. Dr. Campbell begrudgingly accepts it.
Okay.
The great thing about this place is that the computer is advanced enough that it can do those calculations in real time. If you plug this into a computer at the University of Chicago, you'd have to like run the lasers for an hour, wait a day for the results to come in, blah, 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 blah. But in this case, they've got a system set up that can just constantly pump out, analyze, and digest that information. Yes, the lasers in the atrium are built to detect changes in space-time that may indicate that space itself, in a sense, is illusory, a projection. So that is, that's the big difference there. Like, I guess core clues out of that, like the lasers are looking for holes in space-time. The computer does the heavy work, and they are looking for patterns or anomalies in that data.
Thank you very much. It's very, very informative. It's awfully exciting.
I saw Agent North making a face. I see Dr. West currently making a face.
Just listening, you know, processing everything. And I'm just checking. I figure you would say if there was anything different, but in my line of questioning, nothing new comes up about what she experienced at 10 a.m. It's all pretty much the same.
If you ask her about the surge, she just admits straight out that she does not know what caused it. And because she does not know what caused it, it has to have been something outside the facility. That if something had happened inside, she would know. They would have seen evidence, right? If it were a transformer here, there would have been smoke. If it was the computer going wrong, there'd be smoldering solder and fire, right? Nothing in the lab has changed. There's no abnormal anything's going on. So from her perspective, it's something like, whatever, call the power company, see what they did.
You never lost power during either surge?
No, she did.
Oh.
Like, power went out, but it wasn't because something here broke. So like,
okay.
Essentially just like when you're at your house and the power goes out, you're like, oh great, the electrical company or something, right? Because you know that you didn't plug a, I don't know, like a dryer into the wrong sized outlet or whatever. They would know if it's something they'd done.
Sure. No, she didn't hear, like, did she hear the sound too? Just
yeah, she'll
okay.
talk about that.
Okay.
But again, just like if your head's down your notes and then everything pops, right? Like
yeah, no, I just want to make sure that it's not a weird thing where, like, if she was inside, right, she couldn't hear it because, you know, Delta Green stuff, so. Well, great. If you don't mind, Dr. Campbell, I will get out of your hair. I'm just going to speak with the rest of your team, just double check all of our stuff, and we'll get out of here as soon as we can.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be in my office if you need anything further, and I'll send an email out to staff letting them know that you have my permission to investigate, and they'll cooperate as best they can.
Wonderful. Question. Dr. Klinger, and is supposed to be here. Sorry, I'm trying to remember. You said Klinger and Black should both be here today? Okay. Can you tell me where Doctors Klinger and Black would be at this moment?
I believe Dr. Black is in his office reviewing some of the data that's come in earlier. Dr. Klinger has been around. Last time I saw her was in the workshop. I don't know how long ago that was.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Campbell.
Well, we've come up on another hour. We have some leads to investigate so far. How about we go take our little 5 minutes? When we come back, Agent Linda, Dr. West, you'd like to talk with Dr. Takagawa if he is conscious, or you can revive him, yes?
Yes, I'm going to. That's my plan, is to make sure this person doesn't die, and hopefully gives us some insight into what is going on.
And then Agent Gilmore, you are going to be in the atrium investigating their computer system, correct?
Yes.
And Agent North, what are you getting into?
Well, I would like to try and find, well, okay, honestly, there's a couple options. I gotta weigh them. It's either going to be checking in with the researchers or checking in with the lab. If Gilmore is checking out the atrium, maybe the lab, since I'm the other computer-oriented person, well, it's a toss-up.
We'll figure it out over the break. When we come back on five answers, we should have a minute for you.
Great.
We return to our adventure. Our investigators, our agents have laid out their plans for me. We will start, I believe, with Dr. West. As stated, Dr. Takagawa is still unconscious when you enter the room. I made a small mistake in my initial description. He did not immediately fall unconscious. Afterwards, he reported feeling woozy, and then a few minutes later fell unconscious, which means that some people, it's not like he was just walking and passed out. He said, we'll all lay down, and has been out since. He shares an office with Dr. Black under normal circumstances, but Dr. Black is like, I'm going to give this guy some space. So Dr. Black is not present. Dr. Takagawa is one of the two engineers. He is lean, fit, tall, Japanese heritage with white hair and a pretty glorious white beard.
And, and into the room, like I would as a doctor, just being like, Mr. Takagawa, how are you feeling? And just to see if I can get an answer from him. Is he out, or is he just like napping?
He's non-responsive. If you have, what's your medicine?
My medicine is an 80.
Yeah, so you're not going to mess this up. His vital signs are strong. If you open his eyes, his pupils respond normally. A little like overall his kind of general physical examination says he seems healthy. And going through the awareness test that you do for people who've had head injuries, there is no sign of concussion or neurological damage. At the same time, as you monitor him for a while, it's also obvious that he's not asleep. There's no deep sleep breathing, there's no rapid eye movement, but also he is still unresponsive and unconscious. Physically stirring him causes there's nothing. I will leave it to you if you want to try something more intense, but your basic I am a doctor, I know how to doctor reveals that yeah, he's not asleep, he's not awake, but there's no concussion, no brain damage, nothing wrong with him in the gray matter area.
I'm not going to do anything that is I'm not gonna like inject him with adrenaline or anything like that. I'm not gonna reenact Pulp Fiction here.
I need the answers.
But it's just this is he's asleep. All signs point to him not being asleep, but he's asleep. This is Delta Green weird.
And if you return to Campbell and ask for more information, if you find someone else, they'll tell you that he was inspecting the laser in the atrium when the power surge happened.
Got just blasted full in the face with whatever this thing was.
Something like that. After the power surge, 2 engineers went to check on him. They managed to, he was dizzy, unaware. They managed to kind of get him to move. He reported feeling woozy. And that's when he went out. So they then put him on the couch, and then
I don't think
where he is now.
I don't think I have enough information to like reliably try anything yet.
That is a level of self-awareness and restraint that many Delta Green agents don't have.
I think this is more from my doctor training of like I don't have a good enough theory as to what is going on to just randomly try shit.
Will you continue to observe and just see if anything changes, or do you want to? You're also free to leave the room.
I am gonna leave the room, but like I will if I have just doing my doctor due diligence, like I probably have a bag of saline in my medical bag, so I am just gonna set him up with an IV. Just sort of like, this person is unconscious. Maybe they just need some fluids. We'll start with some fluids. We'll knock this part out and see if in a couple hours they're up again. So I give them an idea of some saline.
Well, one person who might also qualify as borderline unconscious is the IT technician, Jinfei. Agent Gilmore, you proceed into the atrium. There is a 33-year-old Chinese-American woman hunched over the keyboard, head down, typing away, almost barely registers your entrance into the room. The atrium has several consoles for people to actually interact with the machinery, but most of the room is dominated by rack after rack after rack of server equipment. Based on your background, you can tell this is where a lot of the money went. The furniture's pretty cheap, the servers are expensive, and the rest of that money probably went to the lasers. If you will have to actually raise the woman's attention, but you're also free to just wander around until she notices you.
No, I'll walk up and I'll politely, for once, clear my throat. Excuse me.
Does not look up from the computer, and it's actually kind of brusque. She's like, yeah, what can I do? And she's just like still typing, staring at the screen.
Dr. Campbell gave me permission to take a look at your computer system here, and also your security while I'm here. My name is Gianna Gilmore. Pleasure.
Hands on the keyboard, not looking away. I mean, security is not my thing. You can talk to Hernandez about that, or I've actually forgotten her name. Is it forgotten the officer's name? Yeah, Henson. I thought it was Henson. Like it's
Henson. It's Henson and Gonzalez.
Oh, okay. Hernandez is a different one. Anyway, so yeah, that's Henson or Gonzalez's thing. But I mean, yeah, what do you want to know? And she's just still just going at it.
Well, I would love to take a look at what was going on here whenever that surge happened earlier. Maybe I could get some answers before I go and check your cameras seeing what was going on the computer would also just be a delight.
I mean, yeah, I can tell you what's up, what I noticed, but I mean, really, you can just talk to D.
Oh, well, to D.
Yeah, D. And like she, like for the first time, looks past you at the computer, both like at the terminal that's facing this gigantic monolith of server rack and wire. And then she means talk to quite literally. She's like, yeah, sit down, ask what you want to know.
The computer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I just speak to it.
Yeah. She's just like, what? The look on her face is like, was that weird? What, you don't? Which of the words is the problem here?
Our computers at the DOE don't really talk back to us unless we type something. You know, I mean, their voice recognition isn't great. But thank you. Yes. I'm quite used to typing. It's faster. Can I just do that? Is there a keyboard or an interface that I can work with here?
I mean, yeah. I guess if you wanted to.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. I'm gonna do that instead.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. You're so helpful. You can do whatever you were doing. Hopefully, I won't interfere. And so I'm gonna.
Does not respond at all. Like, oh, thank you for permission, and just instantly back in her work.
I'm gonna go over to D and log on and see what I can see.
Yeah, so you can just based on your IT knowledge, like all the workstations and monitors in the entire complex are networked to this central computer, and it is housed in a supercomputer cabinet. You go to Google and type in like the old Cray machines or like IBM DeepMind or whatever, and you'll have a sense of what's going on here. The prompt to interact with this computer is a normal command line. The IT person said you can just talk to it, but there's no like menu, there's no GUI, there's just a flashing command prompt.
Okay, I guess I'll try the voice for a second hesitantly. Request any anomaly file or any notice of anomalies within the past 24 hours.
It is impossible how fast the information pops up on screen. It's like you're watching a movie and like the guy says, "I'm in," and then all the files start pouring up. Like it is that fast. It's not even just like barfing up random information. Like you search Google and you get 30 million results and like none of it you have to collate by yourself. This computer has taken your question, made some kind of decision about what it has and you're looking for, and then fires off this list of anomalous readings. It says that it says there was one reading at 15:28:55, a second anomalous reading at 16:34:42. And it graphs out the actual recording, not like audio recording, but it graphs out the measurements that the array was taking, so you can kind of see the spikes as they occur.
Oh, this is cool. Hey, Jingfei.
Yeah.
I don't suppose y'all are hiring here, huh?
No. Besides, you're an inspector, right?
Well, I'm great with computers. It's, you know, I'm sure they could find some use for me. My job's real tedious. This seems real fucking neat. Sorry. I'll go back to my thing. Go back to yours. Okay, so I'm gonna take down those times. You said 15:28, which was the time of the surge we knew, but then you also said 16:34, which was just before we got here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we hadn't heard that time yet.
No.
Okay. How is there like a huge significant difference in the graphs of the anomalies between the two?
There's not in terms of anomalies. They have the same shape, in like the same pattern. They're just different magnitudes. That's gonna make more sense if I put this image up for you. So give me a second to pull it up.
Cool,
But you can continue to ask questions while I go get that file that I should have had ready but don't.
No, you're no worries. Does it show me anything else besides those two things that stand out of note? And was there anything at what would have been 1000 this morning?
Well, you don't have to ask me, because you can ask Dee. When she says you can talk to the computer and ask her questions, you can absolutely just spitball into that thing and watch the miracle happen. So if you say, anomalous readings, and maybe it's more fun for the computer to just say, yeah, here's the chart of what happened, here are the times, this is when we noticed different signals, weirdness happening. And hey, just because I'm a genius computer and I think this is the next question you're going to ask, here's my extrapolation as to, based on the pattern I've seen so far, what those signals will look like over the next 12 hours.
Oh, whoa. Okay. I'll take note of that.
Hearing you make these excited utterance, Jingfei still looking at her computer says, I know, she's great, right?
Yeah, no, she's wonderful. I like I said, just give me an email address that I can send a resume over to. Maybe I can change some minds.
Yeah, I don't think so about that. But I mean, hey, while you're here, ask her about the music.
The music.
Yeah, I mean, the greatest thing about Dee, of course, the information processing is super vast and it's totally incredible, but it's her ability to kind of almost predict the things you want to know. It's like having a whole research team inside of a box that makes all of our jobs way easier. I mean, yeah, go ahead and ask her.
Okay, Dee, tell me about some music.
So it pops up an audio file with a normal, past the Turing test human chatbot explanation of what's going on. She says, Jingfei had the idea. Well, she refers to her as Zhang. Jingfei had the idea to generate audio of the data that maybe that would help, process it a little differently or whatever. And she did. What plays after is it's strange. I mean, even, when you think digital noise, you're thinking of a 56K modem dialing up, right? This isn't that. It's a series of atonal whistles in various frequencies, all of them very, very high in the region. Have you ever had to take a hearing test? And when it gets to the really high ones and you're like, what the heck? It sounds like it's coming from inside your skull. It's that kind of frequency. And then every now and again, it's punctuated by something very low. And maybe even one or two of them you can't hear because it's below that sub bass, but you can hear the rattle of the computer speakers as it's trying to produce that sound.
Oh.
Can you roll sand for me?
Oh, sure.
In fairness, you asked.
That is an 80. Is that a 6? Either way, not good. I think that's actually a 9. That is a 9. 89.
No, you'll take 1 point. So not 1.4. You'll take 1d4 sanity damage because hearing the audio. Well, I mean, I'm not actually that wrong. Seeing and hearing the audio at the same time, the connection of hearing it and seeing the graph creates this. There's an implicit connection between the two, and for whatever reason, the primal part of your body is reminded of a mounting drum beat. So if you imagine an army coming and they're beating the drums as they come closer and marching over the hill, and the music gets louder and louder and louder, and it also gets faster and faster and faster. And you can hear that, and then when the projections, when the actual audio file stops in your head, you can still kind of tell what that looks like as it gets further on. And you can imagine, okay, well, if that was a 15 and then the 40, okay, I heard that. And you can do the work of what that 100 looks like. And I want you to reach into your head and try to imagine what a singularity of sound would be like. Take a song and then double the speed, and then quadruple the speed, and then octuple the speed, and then just keep doing that until you can't actually intuit or understand what the original noise was. It's all the noise happening all at once. And that is what you don't think. That is what you know will happen at 2100 hours.
Fuck. Did some of the music remind me of what I heard, like, going through my head whenever I screamed earlier, by any chance?
Not in the sense of like the music is the same, but this feeling of dread that is mounting in you is kind of connected to the same place. And it's not entirely inside of you. Like, yes, you do feel the dread, but the source of it is inside of you and also not inside of you. Gonna let you simmer on that for a little bit. Agent North, you are Klinger hunting, if I recall, yes?
Yeah. If Agent Linda is going to see Dr. Black, I can come with and see if Klinger's there. But otherwise, yeah, I'll look out for Dr. Klinger.
Klinger is not in the office. Yes, Krissy?
I forgot to. You didn't ask. I rolled a 2, by the way. Sorry to interrupt.
When you're playing Delta Green, the amount of sanity you lose is important if it's all at once, or if you hit certain amounts lost total over a scenario. But the breaking point is what it's called. That doesn't take effect until the end of the scenario, where you have the longer term consequences. So it won't matter so much for this game unless you lose all of your sanity, or you lose a bucket of it all at once, in which case you have a very acute and temporary experience, we'll call it. To Agent North, about Dr. Klinger, you can poke your head into Dr. Black's office. Klinger is not there. If you ask Klinger, he says last time I saw. If you ask Black, he says the last time I saw Klinger was in the workshop.
Okay, great. I'll go to the workshop.
Evan, I believe the character's name is Evan Kozlak, is there. You can introduce yourself. Go to hey, DOE inspector, see my badge? He's like, yeah, cool. I got the email. What can I do for you? And you're like, seen Dr. Klinger? And he's like, no, Dr. Klinger hasn't been here all day. Last I heard, Dr. Klinger was in the atrium.
Okay. Great. Run through like the basic things, I guess, but then head over to the atrium if nothing stands out.
Well, we can handle both of those things kind of together, because I expect that your journey to find Dr. Klinger will end in disappointment.
Well, I mean, because my thought is if I can't find Dr. Klinger, I would like to check cameras to see if there's like proof of Dr. Klinger elsewhere. Like maybe Dr. Klinger's somewhere where there's a camera, but like, you know, if it's a Takagawa situation, right? If like maybe she passed out or something.
So do you want to pause and talk to Mr. Kozak, or are you like, I'll be back to you in a second. I need to find this person.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk to him because the whole point the whole reason that we're here is to like get information. So I'm looking for Klinger, but like encountering people along the way, I can ask questions.
Well, Evan Kozak is a 42-year-old junior engineer, a very wiry Caucasian man with just extremely nervous eyes. And not like in a creepy way, but just like in the way that some people just kind of always look on edge and skittish. He's working. When you approach the room, he's humming to himself. You interrupt, and he spins in his chair. And he's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, you must be the inspector. What's going on?"
Hi, I'm looking for Dr. Klinger.
Oh, yeah. No, I think she was here earlier. No, I mean, she hasn't really been around. I'm gonna check the atrium. She's probably in the atrium.
Okay, I will, I'll make my way over there. Do you have time? Can I ask you a couple questions about what's happened today?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm just polishing these mirrors, but I mean, that can be done pretty much whenever. What's up?
Can you tell me about the power surges that happened today? What you experienced at the time of the power surges?
Yeah. I'm was really weird. We normally don't kind of have those problems, but there was like, I don't know, like a circuit breaker went off or something, and then yeah, like I heard this kind of explosion sound or like electrical zap sound. That was kind of it.
No bright lights, nothing like that. No, you didn't feel sick. You didn't have any sort of reaction to anything. Didn't like lose any time when any of this happened.
No, I mean like the lights like flickered, I guess, if that counts as like a bright flash. But I mean like, he gestures over to a thing near the mirror, and it's part of the equipment you would use to test a laser. Among them, the super thick black "I'm allowed to look at lasers" goggles, and he just kind of shrugs.
Right. Sure. Of course. Great. And nothing extra about no extra details about the second surge at 1528 from him.
No, but if you want to start poking around, I will take a human roll.
Sure, I can do that. Let's see how that goes for me. 28 out of 50.
So, working with this kind of nerd, you do like the normal, like, just the facts stuff, and you see him kind of responding, but you get the impression from his personality, it's kind of person who, if you get excited, can spill some beans. It's a theory that is adjacent to the best way to get good trade information in WoW chat is to ask and then have your friend give the wrong information, and then everyone will rush in to give. And if you do that in an intelligence context, I could say something like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were out of town. But I know that you were, with so and so on Tuesday night." And they'll say, "Oh, I wasn't with so and so. I was with so and so." And you're like, "But you didn't know any of those things, and now you tricked them into telling you."
Sure.
So you can take advantage of the natural urge to explain, to overcorrect, and kind of get him worked up with enthusiasm for his craft, and then also just, when the moment's right, pop that little balloon and let the secret spill out.
Oh gosh, V has no idea how to do that. I'm not smart enough for that.
Unironically, I did this all the time in my undergrad. I would talk to professors, and they wouldn't want to talk about students or things like that, so I would just give them wrong information and play the intelligence game with them. It was like, oh, so much fun.
I mean, yeah, like you can do that with people, but like I don't know. I don't know if I'm smart enough to do this with a physics nerd. It's not really my area of expertise.
The dice say otherwise, and it is as you are speaking and talking about, oh yeah, no, because the goggles, because they're like, I mean, those are really thick, right? And he's like, oh yeah, because like, let me tell you, the lasers and like the sensors here, they are more stable and precise than like anything on the planet. And I don't mean that in like the anything in the planet. I mean like there is nothing in existence anywhere in God's creation that is this accurate. And like the computer can process all this data at the incredible speeds, and like, oh, I mean, like, what we're doing here is like we're looking for like jitters in space-time. That's the whole thing. But like all this equipment is so much better than that. It can actually correlate those readings detected by the lasers and like find patterns in that randomness.
Patterns?
Yeah,
what kind of patterns?
So he's about to blow your mind with some nerd shit. So I'm not sure if Agent North, the character, will understand, but we can all get there together.
Sure.
So like the easiest way to think of this array is like a really compact quantum accelerator, right? Like CERN. But instead of smashing atoms together, the mechanism it uses to find things is these laser jitters. But the lasers, because they are so precise, because they are designed in a way, they can actually cause quantum reactions that fold and spindle space-time itself. Not on a big scale. In the same way that, like, if CERN were huge and people were like, oh, they're going to turn it on and make a black hole, and there were those kind of fears, it's the same thing. Like, well, yes, if we made one 7,000 times this size, we'd collapse the planet upon itself, but we're not doing that. But those jitters are times when they do manage to get space-time to wobble a little. And when they wobble a little, it's like a little lens. And you can see what's on the other side.
Sure. Okay. That's really cool.
Cool? Are you kidding me? Like we're talking about brief controllable gaps in reality. Like we're talking like instantaneous movement. We're talking instantaneous communication. We're talking like 2 places at once, like no shit Futurama teleporter shit here.
And I mean, have you noticed any of these since you turned the machine on this morning? Have you measured any such jitters?
Oh, I mean, I honestly, and now he's starting to get a little like, I mean, that's not my department. In that very much, well, they don't let me touch those toys, kind of way, right?
Oh, sure.
I'm just the mirror guy.
Sure. Great.
We'll put a pin on that and let you continue on your Klinger search. I will tell you up front that when you get to the atrium, they say, no, she's in Dr. Black's office. And you're like, I fucking started at Dr. Black's office. And you can chase this tail as long as you want to go. Everybody has seen Klinger somewhere else. And with your human, it's not like a lie or a trick. They honest to God believe that. That like in their soul, they know that Klinger's in the atrium. In their soul, they know that Klinger's in Black's office. All of those things are true. None of those things are true. It doesn't matter. You as the outside observer know that as far as you can tell, Klinger's not here at all. She did sign in this morning. That part is true. And if you go to the security cameras, you can see that. I'll give you that just kind of for free. And you can see her wandering around the place at different times. But like that doesn't actually line up with what people are telling you or whatever's going on. So either there's some kind of like crazy mass hallucination, or you're being fucked with, or the cameras are wrong. But like none of those things are true.
And like if I go back, like, sorry, I know we were gonna pass up, but this is my question about the cameras. Like she's still on camera as of like half an hour ago. Like I can like
remember that the cameras in this building are only in the entryway and the main hall. So you'll see her wander down the hall at a point and then appear later. Yeah. Agent Gilmore will probably be able to get a little more out of that if you want to touch base with her, which will be easy because you're going to be on this wild not goose chase, this wild Klinger chase for an amount of time. Agent Linda, luckily the person you're looking for is awake. Not luckily, it's not an awesome talking computer or an excited mirror nerd. Dr. Black, unfortunately, is this is a personal attack. He is a pudgy Caucasian man with salt and pepper beard and thinning hair.
Oh my God, it's like looking into a mirror. Oh my God, it's Evans mirrors. Oh God, what's happening? This is the observer effect.
He is a physicist formerly at the University of Chicago who had some pretty impressive work, but is now in this department. When you enter the room, though, he's got this, he's a friendly guy. It's like you knock and you say, walk in, come around. And he turns and there's like that, yeah, hey, how can I? And then a shock, like, what? Sorry, never mind. Sorry, Dr. Black. And he reaches out to shake his hand. Philip Black.
Oh, pleasure to meet you, Archibald Linda. Did I startle you? I'm sorry. Are you all right?
No, sorry. Just the weirdest sense of deja vu. But anyway, you're here with the inspection team, right?
Yes, that's true. Yes. I've come to ask about your account on the matter.
Oh, yeah. And he's kind of like looking around the room. He's tapping his fingers, and if you follow his eyes, it's obvious that his desk is kind of a mess, right? He's not a very organized man. So you see him kind of looking around, and if you follow, he's definitely searching for this, that, and the other. But you notice that most of the books that he has don't have anything to do with physics. Like, not in a universe of physics that you understand. They are like, we've gone beyond the fringe into weird territory. Some might use the word occult territory. Like theories of how the universe works that are pulled out of John Dee's brain when he was doing drugs with Queen Victoria. I think that was the right queen. Just absolutely way outside what is even like this experiment. Weird, but we'll give it a shot. Those books, like, no fucking way.
Okay.
And then he's finally like scrambling around and picking up another thing. Can you roll alertness for me?
Oh, okay. Ooh. I got a 66 out of a 30.
It's gonna be a no on that one. We'll come back to that later. But eventually he does find his notes on it. He, like others, will tell you that D does most of the heavy lifting, but here is what he has. It's very preliminary. But what's your psychotherapy?
80.
80. So I mean, you walk into this like, I'm just gonna ask some questions and then observe my patient, right? He has all the signs. There's a frustration in him. There's a nervous energy. You can look at his notes, and it's all these hallmark traits of someone who, like, he wants to be doing the work. He's smart enough to be doing the work. It's not coming out of his brain. And like, there's a latent frustration there, hence the tapping, hence all the little ticks and movements. But the pattern of behavior that comes with it is actually matched up completely with someone who has like repressed trauma. So like, something traumatic happens to you, you repress those memories, right? And then you don't remember things you used to remember. So now imagine you're a genius physicist who is trying to reach into his brain to remember the, I don't know, God theorem or whatever. And he can't because it's locked behind one of those repressive walls.
Okay. Knowing my Linda's knowledge on that, what is the best way I can try and get him calm enough to try and talk through what's happening with him?
Honestly, you could just do some like light basic psychotherapy. You, in the same way, like in a first meeting, you would you let someone explain their story and then ask the small questions to kind of tug at the edges of it. So you start with the easy stuff, the power surge, right? And then he starts out at me like, oh yeah, no, probably just a bad transformer. And then you're like, yeah, but I mean, like, was it? Because we've heard this and that and the other. So like, I already know it's okay if you tell me. And then he comes out and says, yeah, no, it was definitely like a blue light that emanated from everywhere, giving you the same stories as other people. But then he goes on to say, I just felt it was like a confused jumble of sensations, and like, I can't describe it. I don't mean like I can't describe it. I mean like it's indescribable. And even if I try to think about it, it's slippery and it goes everywhere. Like you're trying to describe something like beyond the reach of language.
Where were you when this happened to you? When you felt like this, where were you?
I was just here in my office. We knew the machine was running and I was waiting for data to come in. I mean, D is incredible, but also, I mean, it's honestly kind of weird what they're accomplishing. But you can't argue with results, so.
Certainly fascinating. It must be quite exciting for you.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, you're a doctor, and you're a physicist, so like, ethically, right? If there were certain things like you could do, but they were dangerous or they were outside the norm, that doesn't make it okay to use that, right? And like, I don't know what happened with D, but it's obvious she is beyond anything that I mean, who knows? Maybe computer science is moving faster than I can keep track of, but there's just something not right about it. It makes me nervous.
Oh, I mean, a computer that fast is, again, awfully fascinating. And does it make you nervous when you speak to it?
Oh God, no! I would never. I mean, first of all, Jingfei would kill me. That's her baby. I'm just here to get the numbers that come out of it and work with them. I try not to go in that room if I can't help it.
Oh, so is that uncomfortable for you? I mean, technology frightens me too. Understandable.
And he's doing the same thing where, like, if you ask someone like, hey, do you want to go out for Chinese food, and they're like, oh no, I mean, I couldn't possibly, it's not for me. And then through psychotherapy later you realize that, like, oh, the Chinese food was the place where they got into the fight with the person, and that's the thing that's blocked it. Every single time you have to probe a little more. There's something tied to this place, to the surges, and it's impossible that someone could have developed that many mental blocks, that many kind of traumatic fissures in this amount of time. We're talking like a lifetime's worth of trauma condensed into a 4-hour period several times, because there's more than one block.
Okay.
Lifetime worth of trauma distilled into 2 hours is actually how I described the last Jurassic Park movie.
Right. Okay. Just gonna try and be very friendly with him, just to try and make him feel as comfortable as possible around me, just in case. And if he lets me, I'm going to take notes on it. If he gets confused or worried, or just going to keep being friendly, just try and get what I can for as long as that I can talk to him.
Yeah. There is some stuff there. I don't know that Agent Linda has the key to unlock it on your own. I'm guessing once you interact with some other folks, it'll click.
Okay.
At least it would, but there's a small thing that's going to probably interrupt that, because Dr. West, your patient wakes up.
Oh. It's probably a bit of surprise to both of us.
Yeah. There's a weird thing that actually affects all of you. So Agent Linda, you're having this conversation. Agent Gilmore, this is when you're listening to the music and you're kind of walking around with it. Agent North, you're making your 6th trip back and forth across the hallway. And there's all an incredible sense of vertigo. Like standing on top of the Empire State Building and looking down and wondering. I need all of you to make a POW test. So you're going to roll POW, just a D100, and you're going to, your POW score times 5 is what you're trying to get under.
17 out of 60.
0 is under 10?
No, that is 100. If your dice result came back 0 and 0, that would be
I had zeros.
Okay.
I had 0 on one dice and 3 on the other.
Oh yeah, 0, 3. So yeah.
Yeah, 0, 3. I just it is 0, 0. I have a percentile.
Oh
die,
yeah.
So it was.
Yeah, 10s columns, 0s. Yeah, no, you're fine. Well, sort of. Agent Linda.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
I got a 14.
3 out of 55.
Agent Gilmore.
28 under 55.
You all passed.
Ooh.
That's not always a good thing.
Is that good or bad?
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what happens, and then you can use your judgment. Because here's the thing.
Great.
You have, at first, that feeling of vertigo, which then, as it builds up inside you and starts to well, you realize is more just an instinctive awareness of wrong. And then it starts to feel less like wrong and more like something pressing against you from the other side of like a curtain, but the curtain isn't real. So like if you think about, imagine that that reality as you know it exists, and that if I wanted to reach into your reality, I would have to first break through like that surface tension bubble, right? There's that horror movie of like when something's reaching through a wall and you see the wall kind of buckle. So yeah, just picture that in a 3-dimensional space. And then imagine you saw that and how freaked out you would be, right?
Very.
Excellent. So you're in the right mental space to experience what is happening.
Great.
There are, first things first, I need everyone to roll a 1d4, because that is how much sanity you're going to lose when you make the next realization.
Just one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 4. Big
Yeah,
fat
no.
4.
4 is appropriate. Because here's the thing. I saw you in our own little chat here keying up on it, that Dr. Black had a sense of deja vu, right? And you're like, that's weird. We've never been here before. Or have we? And as you've passed this test, you maintained the willpower and focus to experience the moment fully, as opposed to just letting it blast past you in a wave of lack of awareness. You've been here before. You came to this array at night. You were in a hurry. It was way later. And when you got here, everyone in the building, they were already insane and murderous. And then something broke through. Something vast and black and shapeless and mindless, but alive and potent. And it just ripped a hole in the sky above the array and came pouring through like liquid, but sloshing into reality. And this thing, it swept out and just absorbed everything into itself. And then you woke up screaming at 10 in the morning.
That's
Excuse me?
happened at 100.
Fuck.
So here's the thing, right? The patient wakes up, and there is some stuff we can talk about there, but I know your thoughts are all racing, and I want you to have the ability to like kind of correlate all the things, because Agent Gilmore's like, I have this chart, and Agent Linda's like, there's some weird shit, and you're all right.
Yeah.
So
I was about to ask, is my patient all right? Am I dealing with someone who's already going a little?
No. For that,
Okay.
the actual he wakes up. No memory of his collapse. He's a little woozy. He will ask you if it's okay if he goes to the bathroom, because he really has to,
Yeah. If he seems fine, and all that, let him go.
As the doctor, you mean let him go as in take him there, or let him go as in just go piss?
I mean, if he seems to like he can stand up like fine on his own, and he's not like swaying back and forth, then he seems to have his equilibrium about, I'm not gonna walk him there or anything.
Okay. Well, in that case, you all have the opportunity. So then, Agent Linda, first of all, you feel the vertigo, right? You are all tuned in to like, we need to have a team meeting when we start feeling we're gonna puke, right?
Yep.
Okay.
We all just like suddenly it's like you go, you take care of yourself. I gotta find everybody else. I gotta find the rest of my team.
So come on in together and have a chat. I'll sit back. In fact, why don't we just take my camera away and let the four of you powwow? I'll still be here if you have questions, but you're all huddled now in the thing like, what the fucking fuck, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean it. Yep. Here you go. Have a meeting.
Great. I told everybody to meet at where we met with Dr. Campbell. So I assume we all kind of reconvene there because that was the agreed upon meeting spot. Yeah. And as soon as I see Dr. West, like I'm not like I already know enough about Dr. West, and I would just look at her and I would say, "You felt it, right?"
Yes, I did. I'm guessing you did too.
Yeah, very, very acutely. And I'll look to Linda and to Gilmore. And you too?
Yes, certainly. This is extraordinary.
We were here. We're gonna be here tonight. There was.
Can you use your words? Take a breath.
I show the graph that I like jotted down there. There's gonna be a thing, and I think it's already happened, but it's gonna happen.
I take a look at the graph, check the time. It's about 1900. the graph shows it's climbing. What is this graph? What am I looking at?
I asked for D, the computer. Fascinating computer, by the way. I asked for it to give me like a look at the anomalies of the readings from the array, you know, just to see if anything stood out. And I mean, a couple things stood out. Oh, and then it played music. It made music from this, and it was terrifying and beautiful, but absolutely the most horrifying thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. I don't care how cool it is. It gave me that same sensation that the scream, like right before the scream. I don't know what you all felt like, but I felt just this dread isn't a powerful enough word, but yeah, there isn't a powerful enough word in the English language, but just an absolute horror. And that's what the music gave me too. Especially, I can only imagine how bad it's going to be once it peaks. Like my brain can't fully wrap its head around what it's going to be like. Yeah. That's anomalies of the readings, basically.
Okay. So this is what's happening right now. What will have had happened, what is happening, but also happened already.
Yes,
and will happen
so.
again
Unless we stop it.
Great.
Yes, there's already signs of deja vu. Gentleman I saw had met me before, been in the same situation before, so we've been through this before.
Dr. fucking Klinger. Dr. Klinger is here, is not here, was here, will have had been here. Everybody seems to know that Dr. Klinger is here, but is not where anybody thinks that she should be. And I have not seen her at all.
I didn't check the security cameras. I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
I mean, I've got a little bit of her, but like there's only a couple cameras, so they weren't incredibly useful.
Oh.
But so
maybe she's deceased. All of this has happened before. Maybe she died.
Maybe she's stuck in another reality. Maybe she died in another reality and didn't make it to this one. I have no idea how this works.
Fascinating.
Is that the word we're going with right now?
Well, of course, the horror element, but it is fascinating. If whatever they're doing is actually working in a very twisted way, but still.
I think we want it to not work.
Yes, that of course, that's the answer. Especially if the sky is going to open up and black ooze is going to come out.
Well, I mean, if this anomaly peaks and we get thrown back to the beginning of this timeline, either something really bad happens at the end of it, and we all will perish anyway in this reality and any others, because we're connected to whatever reality the thing is coming through from, or we're just stuck in a loop until we fix it. So that sounds likely, Dr. West, that we have to stop it from doing whatever it is it's doing.
Yeah, no. And my patient was most definitely when everything happened this morning was definitely got a face full of it. And a medical term. The medical term for a face full of laser.
Quick, because I want to make sure that my timeline's correct. Did you walk him, or did he go to the bathroom before we got vertigo?
No.
Okay, so we got vertigo, and then he. Oh, we got vertigo.
Your
then
vertigo
he woke
happened.
Up. He woke up.
He woke up. Exactly.
Yeah.
When did he wake up?
Exact same time we got that feeling.
And where is he now?
He said something about the bathroom.
Should probably.
Yes.
Yeah. And without, I mean, I'll turn to Linda and Gilmore and kind of gesture off towards the bathroom. But if this guy's got any sort of feelings like we've got, it's related to this. I don't think he should be left alone.
I will return just in time to let you know that you don't have to go looking for Dr. Takagawa. Dr. Takagawa finds you. He comes screaming, stumbling, fumbling out of the bathroom. My eyes! It's all dark, my eyes! Hands up. Dr. West, you immediately, medically trained, will notice that the spittle flying from his mouth is bluish white. The gum lines, bluish white. If you were to go into the bathroom and you could see like the flecks of urine, everything glowing bluish white. And if this theory that you have about radiation is correct, you expect that this person has experienced an incredible amount of radiation in a very small amount of time. That, Agent Linda bringing up before, ultraviolet light, where does it come from? Where are you going to get that radiation? And now it'll all click together, the two of you. That's like cosmic background radiation, the kind of stuff that will stop people from getting to Mars unless we shield the craft. And based on the speed with which Dr. Takagawa has been experiencing these symptoms, he got a millennium's worth of it in a super short amount of time. He is panicking. Even if you reach to touch him, you can feel like his skin is warmer than it should be. I don't know if you want to share this information with the rest of the class, but it's only a matter of time. He's being cooked inside and out by insanely large amounts of radiation. He's got an hour or two left in your approximation before his organs boil and no longer function. I'm going to give you a second to think about how you're going to handle your patient. The rest of you are still making the face that you need to catch up with what has happened. So we'll take our last 5-minute break of the show here, and when we come back, we will see if the agents can figure out how to resolve what we'll have had happened. Well, we return. That was the final break. It might be final all around at this point because you've figured out what's going on, at least as best you can. It is not good news. Now it's time to think about how to stop it. Over the break, we had some plans. Agent Linda, you seemed the team seemed to orient itself around your idea. If you'd like to explain.
Laser bad. Turn off laser.
It was a really good plan.
It's a really great plan.
As complex as it needs to be.
Yep. We don't. It's not 3 steps. It's 1 step. Yeah.
Boom.
It's a great tradition in Call of Cthulhu. Oh, the house is haunted? Burn down the house. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where was
as important as I think what was it? Number 4 on our list of 5 things to do, security, advanced technologies. As sure as I am that is important. Number 1 is still stop the incursion. So let's fuck some shit up.
And then we'll see how those priorities interact and change as events move on. So when I left you, you had Dr. Takagawa, obviously not long for this world. He is pleading at this point. You've had your meeting. He is screaming. It's attracting attention. Dr. Campbell has burst out of the office. Jinfei is still in the lab. She's got typing to do. But Dr. Black and Dr. Campbell are supposed to, not supposed to, they have come out and seen this and what's going on. And he might not know exactly what is happening to him. He does not understand that he's been exposed to this radiation. He doesn't know what's happening to his organs or his blood at this moment. He doesn't understand that on a molecular level, the collagens that hold his body together on the cellular level are breaking down. Mm-hmm. But he knows it doesn't feel good, and he has that general, like, something is wrong, I need to slow panic. So he is begging to Dr. Campbell, like, can you call my wife and call my family? I need to get to a hospital. And Dr. Campbell knows the same basic things about this place that you do, that, like, unless someone's dying, no one comes here. Unfortunately, we reached the point where somebody might be dying. And those of you who are humans inclined, Agent Linda, Agent North, even Dr. West from your bedside manner, you understand her resolve might be breaking.
I would definitely just be like, let's go lay him down. That's what I'm going to focus on. We're going to lay him down. I will call for an ambulance, being the doctor. I'm not
down.
I'm not going to call.
I mean, Dr. Campbell is of course like immediately like, what are you talking about? It is so obviously wrong. And there's a bit of like, not to impugn your credentials as a doctor, but like, this is obviously something that needs to be handled.
Can I try and like convince her that she needs to not be in the room, because it's actually really unsafe for her to be around him right now, and because I'm worried about her, like we're already exposed, but like stay back, like we'll handle this, like we don't want to get anybody else involved, so we're going to reach out to the people who would know how to handle this best, and we'll Dr. West will take it from here.
If there's an actual someone having very bad radiation poisoning, you don't want to take them to a regular hospital.
Well, go ahead and roll your persuasion. Give yourself a plus 20% bonus, because Dr. West is there describing what it's like when you remember Chernobyl? Would you lay on the ground in Chernobyl? Do you want to hang out with Dr. Black or Dr. Takala? No.
Well, if I got a plus 20 bonus, I end up with a -2 because I rolled 18.
Excellent. So, yeah, you get that, and then there's that initial burst of emotional reaction. Whether or not she cares for Takagawa as a person, his mind is important. So however those priorities work out, she's like, okay, I need to take care of him. But then you're like, hey, but also, and bringing in that rational bit. Do you know what would be worse than Dr. Takagawa dying? Dr. Takagawa and everyone at County Hospital dying. So she's willing to follow that. And then Dr. West, at this point, you can be like, look, Doctor, Department of Energy. Yeah?
Yeah. We're gonna lay him down. We're gonna call the proper authorities to deal with this.
Well, interesting. Well, yes. Just keep me appraised. Let me know when I need to let Hernandez at the gate. Let them in. And she's starting to losing control of the situation. In fact, Agent Linda, psychotherapist, you realize everyone's kind of starting to lose control of the situation. Campbell was calm, cool, collected, like Ice Queen a minute ago. She doesn't have emotional reactions, and now she's getting agitated. Black is the same way. You noticed him before having that trauma response, and now it's like someone has exposed the trauma, and he's breaking down, and he's not. I don't want to face, getting a little unhinged. Not that you are watching Kovac in the other room, not that you're currently with Junpei, but both of them too, increasing amounts of agitation. That scene in the movie when like they pan past the zoo and you see all the animals freaking out because they know the volcano's coming, but the people don't. Is the mood that's going on. Agent Gilmore, there was one thing you said on the break that I did not want to pass over, because you had a thought about D.
Yes, I would like to go back and talk to her. I have a couple more questions, so I'm gonna look over at Agent North. Do you have a spare firearm?
My rifle in the car, but I'm not giving that to you. Why? You don't have just in case something happens, I need to go back and talk to that computer again, and you're welcome to come with me if you'd rather do that. I have another question for it. Okay. I don't, sure. And I'll hand over my pistol, and I'll walk with Gilmore out and head to the car so I can grab my rifle, because I'm not going to be unarmed, especially as like people are kind of coming unhinged around us, and there's obviously weirdness happening. I'm not super keen on being unarmed.
Totally fine with that. What do you explain to the guard?
Do we have to explain anything to the guard?
You could also give me a convincing place you hide the 30-inch long automatic weapon.
It's not an open carry kind of facility, is it? No. For those kind of weapons. Yeah.
Or if you wanted to conceal it in a bag, Dr. West is there. You could put it in medical equipment. Just tell me a story about how you don't just brandish this walking past the security officer.
If Dr. West, I'm sure there's got to be something in the car that she definitely needs to deal with the medical, the Dr. Takagawa. So as Gilmore goes off, I'll ask West to come with me, walk out to the car, and then if the guard pokes her head out and asks what we're doing, I would just let her know that, unfortunately, Dr. Takagawa has taken a turn for the worse, and Dr. West needed to get additional supplies from the car to deal with him. And I mean, it could be argued that the AR-15 is a way to deal with Dr. Takagawa. So it's not a complete and total bold-faced lie.
Right. The important part about lying is to leave a kernel of truth. And you're like, if I have to deal with Dr. Takagawa, yep. That's the kind of logic that Delta Green teaches you. I hope you feel like a good person.
I haven't felt like a good person in a long time. Thanks.
Hard to say if that was Delta Green or the American imperialist experiment of which you are a part of, but that is a question for a different game. No, it's a question for this game specifically. But
this game,
we will say you move with Agent Gilmore into the lab, the atrium. At this point, Agent Gilmore, you're armed, but if you still want Agent North to go, I'm assuming. Very well.
That is also fine. More firepower is always better.
So, Jingfei, typing incredibly quickly now, stream of consciousness thought coming out of her, occasionally picking out, well, that's impossible. How could that be? Oh, no, I see. Yes, the music, right. And then obviously something's going on in there. And under other circumstances, you would be like, this is psychobabble. This is nonsense coming out of a person who has lost contact with reality. But actually the problem is not that she's lost contact with reality, is that she's made contact with a different one. So, that's something that's happening. She is still quite absorbed in her work. So, are you going straight to your computer friend?
Yes, I'm gonna walk up and say, D, what happens at the peak?
There's a longer pause than normal. And that's unsettling for lots of reasons. But the response that comes back says, imperfect communion.
D, can you replicate the music for the peak? Because it cut off before, right?
Yeah. So like replicate, no, she can extrapolate. We haven't heard it yet. And it is an ear-splitting, shrill, terrible noise. 1,000. Okay, take a fourth grade recorder concert, that like atonal shrieking of people blowing into whistles, and then imagine tens of thousands of them all at once, just shrieking horrible atonal piping, but it's happening all at once.
Does Jingfei react to this at all?
I don't know that you would notice specifically. Agent North, why don't you roll human?
Sure. Whoop. 65 out of 50.
No, I mean there's a general excitement in her, but whether it's from the music or if it was happening earlier, there's no telling.
D, define imperfect communion.
At this point, it spits out several graphs all in a row, looking not unlike the first one that Agent Gilmore showed you. And the computer explains in terms that there are two, doesn't use the word reality, like two projections, two somethings. And right now that they're apart. And then as the music builds, it hits this crescendo at that point, and it says, okay, are we aligned? No. And then it's going to try again. And maybe the realities are closer this time. Imagine you're trying to get to the moon, right? And you have to launch the rocket at a certain point, or else you're not going to make it to the moon. You have to wait until the moon is in the right place to launch the rocket and go to it, right? Or Mars or any celestial body. So it's that way right now. That the cycle right now is at 2100, there's going to launch a rocket. And maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But then the next time it tries, the moon's going to be a little closer. And eventually, those two things will line up. and you'll be able to launch the rocket and get to the moon. But in this case, it's a bit more terrible than Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and I never remember the third one.
How do we interrupt the communion?
D, plainly, you cannot.
Jingvei, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna aim my gun at the computer and I'm gonna shoot it.
Well, you say, Jingfei, I'm sorry. And with a supernatural awareness, as if she knows what's coming, she leaps up and says, no, you can't. No, you mustn't. And is charging at you.
Well, I'm going to shoot Jingfei.
Cold blood.
What?
Just in cold blood. Just instantly shoot to kill.
Well, I mean, I'll raise my gun and tell her to stop. And if she doesn't, I'm going to try and just like nick her arm or something to like snap her out of whatever she's doing. Not aiming to kill her. I just want to stop her from attacking Gilmore.
Okay. Roll firearms.
Protect the nerd.
89 out of 80, unfortunately.
Oh, that's not great. So you have the shot lined up, but it's that hesitation of a moment, because here's the thing, like they're not slavering cultists, they're not serial killer monsters. Whatever's happening to them could be the same thing that's happening to you, and it's that moment of hesitation that allows Jingfei to close the gap, and now she's close enough that you're struggling with the gun swinging around. The first shot firing off into the ceiling. Dr. West, Agent Linda, you'll hear that shot. Unfortunately, so will the rest of the complex. So two things are happening at the same time now, because Agent Gilmore, you can make your shot into this big matrix of computer stuff. 1 round, 2 round, 3 rounds, the computer doesn't turn off.
Shit.
But as that's happening, Agent Linda, you are with near enough Dr. Black, Dr. Campbell, Agent West. The second that gunshot goes, there is just like a pan over. Something changes. And they're like, you're not allowed to stop it. It has to come. And they are going to try to run past you, for a given value of run, considering their age, heading towards the lab.
I will definitely try and stop them. Even if it's just, me, as a doctor, grab them in a way that I'm like, it should hopefully not injure you too much, but like I need you to not interrupt what is going on.
Mm-hmm. You've had people come into the hospital drunk off their gourd and being agitated. Neither one of these people is especially fit, so if you want to roll unarmed with a +20 bonus.
Cool.
Agent Linda, likewise, if you would like to use your old man strength to try to disable one of them.
And that is going to be a 30.
Excellent. Yeah. So, Agent, we'll say to Dr. West that you're now grappled up, tangled with Dr. Campbell.
I got a 44 out of 30.
Is that before your bonus or after?
What was the bonus? Beg your pardon?
+20. So
This is before.
Okay, so you got a 50. Okay, so then yes, you've both managed to grab them.
Good.
It's not you're not judo experts or military people, so it's not like you grab and twist the arm back or whatever. At this point, it's just people who are like, "Hey, no, don't do that." But it will at least keep them safe from Agent North's gunfire, should it come to that. Back, Agent North. This is a struggle. It's going on. She's going for the gun, and you can see in her eyes what she's going to do with it if she gets it. But at the same time, is it her? I don't know.
Yeah. Can I try and just like hit her with like the butt of the gun to try and like knock her out?
Yeah, the unfortunate truth is that in the military, that's called a butt stroke. I'll just put that out into the world for you.
Wasn't gonna say it, but yeah.
You can attempt to butt stroke Jingfei. That would be melee, if you want to roll melee weapons.
Oof. All right. Cross your fingers. Ooh, 24 out of 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So in terms of instant knockouts, that's more in the pulpy range. That is not how we do. So why don't you roll like 1d10 minus? No, that'd be a bit much. We'll say roll 1d4 for damage. 'Cause 1d10 4. Okay, so yeah, you clean her clock pretty hard. Excellent delivery. It is obvious you have been practicing with the dummies. Just clear up motion across the bottom of the jaw. You see the head kind of spin, and at that point, momentum is carrying her away from you onto the floor. And then having your bell rung like that, she's just kind of splayed out, arms wide, like trying to remember which direction is up. That'll give you time to secure her. If you can either physically pin her, or if you can find something to tie her up with, you have a couple rounds to do that.
Oh, I mean, this is a nerd lab. We can find zip ties.
It has zip ties, Cat 5 cable, all kinds of things.
They start ripping the cable out of the computer to tie her up with.
Well, that's good and that's bad. So yeah, go ahead. Whatever. I don't care what this is plugged into. You rip it out. You go over and start to do nerd shibari with your friend over here. Agent Gilmore, you're watching the computer though. You shot it. Agent North is ripping things out of it. None of this is working. Will you roll your computer science skill for me?
That is a 73, but under 80.
Yeah, so weird. You know for a fact, like, all these things, you shot the motherboard, right? Like, even if you didn't destroy the entire machinery, you should be getting errors, or as you unplug something, there should be an alert or whatever. And the fact that that's not is enough to make your brain go, well, what is it connected to, right? So at that point, if you get up from behind the computer, walking closer to inspect this machinery, that is when you discover something that I'm going to say it borders on alarm. Because in this ventilated cabinet, right, there's the big atrium, and then inside the servers there are the individual racks. And as you come behind them, the second and the third racks aren't even on. And then you get to the fourth or the fifth rack, and between it now, there's a pillar, a jet black, like Vanta black light doesn't interact with it correctly pillar. About the size of, if you've seen in like a Halloween store where the tube that the helium comes in for balloons, maybe 1.5 times as tall and then 3 times as thick. There are cables that like are twisted up around it, LAN cables, things like that, but they don't plug into any slots so much as they just poke into the surface of this thing.
What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? Agent North? Agent Linda? Dr. West?
Yeah?
Dr. West. Well, Agent North, these are all things happening simultaneously. So Agent Gilmore makes the 7 steps while you are tying a knot in the thing. So you can respond, but
Then my question is, what? As I'm like tying her up.
There's what? There's a thing. There's a very, very, very black. There's a very, very black thing. This doesn't make any sense. What?
Neither do you. I'm just continuing to tie Japan up.
I'm busy. I know it's weird. I will get to. I have room for one weird thing at a time. Dealing with weird woman now. We'll deal with weird computer in a moment.
I'm gonna shoot the thing.
I will
just
also
to see what happens.
Roll luck.
I'm also going to ask: is there a janitor's closet in the hallway that we can feasibly throw these people into, and then take like a broom and like just like
Bad human.
just go think about your space crimes?
I will take that. Yeah. What'd you come up with, Krissy?
What do I roll for luck?
Just roll 1d100.
Okay, 78.
Okay, good news, it does not ricochet back into you and cause you harm. Bad news is that it's straight up comic book unobtainium shit. You shoot it and the bullet hits and then is just off in another direction. The trajectory of it is also a little weird in the way that reality tends to. You would imagine if it went in at this angle, it would come out at this angle. It doesn't. Roll sand for me.
Oh, okay.
Dr. West, Agent Linda, totally behind this plan. It's going to take you some grappling, so I'll need a strength roll or more unarmed because they are struggling with you as you try to get them towards the closet. Krissy, what was the result?
51 over 42.
Okay, just take one. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's certainly not the worst thing. It's not even the worst thing happening right now. But it's just one more layer of weirdness that is.
I did strength because you said strength, and then the strength is slightly higher than my unarmed, and I got a 49 out of 50.
Okay, so you are continuing to wrestle Campbell. She's in front of you, and it's very stubborn child, like feet into the ground, but you're able to just kind of wriggle and push.
I have an
in
actual
that
child
direction.
at home. I've done this before.
Oh yeah, I should have given you a bonus then. My bad. Agent Linda, what was your result?
I got a 12 out of 40.
Okay, weirder that you know how to handle the struggling child in your profession, but I'm not going to ask questions. You'll be able to get them to the cabinet, shoving them in. The broom's knocking over. There's a bottle of bleach or something that hits the ground. The little sawdust it's a mess, but whatever, they'll be fine. As one of you, I will let you just tell me who is the one who's like once they're both in there slamming the door shut.
I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll do that happily. Yeah.
So Agent Linda's the one shoving the door, which means Dr. West, you are the one who is closest to the guard who's coming in, has heard the gunshots, has noticed this stuff, wearing the same face of agitation, and is saying, what's going on in here? And has her gun bearing in your direction. Hold that thought for a minute, because Agent North, now, again, all of this happening simultaneously, you can hear Dr. West screaming, you hear the guard come, you've heard the gunshot and the ricochet. Prioritize for me. Use your secret agent brain. Where do you go?
Gilmore's dealing with this thing, but that voice out there, which I would recognize as the guard, I think I need to go deal with that, especially because I don't think Linda and West are armed in any way, shape, or form.
No, I have a gun.
Dr.
A
West
knife.
Agent
Oh,
Linda has a
okay.
knife.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Linda has a knife. That's right.
But the degree to which they will reach success with those tools is very much up in the air.
Yeah, well, I mean, not that I've been much better as far as shots are concerned, but here we go. Yeah, I mean, we don't have people in here, so yeah, I'm gonna run out the door. I'm grabbing zip ties or whatever with me just in case we need them, shoving them in my pockets, and I run through the doors and see them. And I'll point my rifle at the guard, and I'll just say,
Well, hold on there, because I want to see what Agent Gilmore is doing at this point too. So you say
Sure.
there's a weird, crazy black thing, and Agent North's like, I don't give a fuck, and is leaving the room.
Yeah.
You're alone with this thing now?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we just found out that black stuff was bad, but okay, yeah, leave me. I guess I'm gonna go over where I see cords coming out and see what happens whenever I yank on them to maybe try and pull them out of the thing.
It's like trying to get the sword out of the stone. You're not going to be the king of England today.
I pull out my own computer out of my backpack.
Mm-hmm.
I plug it into the thing.
Ooh. What are you going to do?
I turn it on and see what happens.
Okay. This is a part of the scenario book I don't get to use very often when I run this, but I'm quite excited because Agent Gilmore is going to try to hack the alien supercomputer, and I am so here for it. Why don't you do me a favor? Go ahead and roll your computer science skill, but because you are dealing with something well beyond like the nerdiest possible thing, you're going to take a -20 penalty.
Jesus, okay. That's still not terrible, but 32 under 60.
Okay, so there's a couple things that I'm going to get past real quick, and this would normally take longer, but we're coming up on time, so I'm just kind of at you, all right? The computer is doing exactly what it was programmed to do. They said, hey, find out these signals, see how they work, give us a pattern, work with that pattern. And it's doing that. No malice, no whatever. It's an AI. It's been trained incorrectly as AIs are wont to do or whatever. So you're going and you realize like, yeah, you can kind of like hack it. You can reprogram it. But as you're typing, you realize like you're getting ahead of it, but then it's also undoing things you've done in the beginning. So you could do this work. You could continue to slow it down. You could try to figure out something, but you'll never be able to get all the way ahead of it. The only way to actually stop the computer is to either destroy it so it can't do math on the inputs, or you're going to have to get rid of the inputs because it can't do this cosmic space bend math if it doesn't have math coming in to put in the equations. Does that make sense?
Sure. How would I go about doing that?
From the lasers, right?
The
They said the
lasers.
lasers are shooting around and they're measuring the jitters in space-time, so you have to figure out a way to turn off the lasers. I'll let you think about that for a second, though, because on the other topic of things people have to figure out, Agent North has to figure out if she's going to shoot this person. The guard has a weapon on Dr. West, is going through the whole, like, de-escalation, Jesus Christ, de-escalation, no Z in there. The de-escalation thing, but in a very, very hyper quick way. We're going to go from put your hands in the air to stop resisting real fast. So, Dr. West, what are you doing as this gun is pointed at you?
I will start with the, I'm gonna put up my hands. I guess I don't have my gun out or anything, so and then just I keep an eye out, and if I do see like north starting to make her way, I want to at least try to keep his focus on me for just a second to see whatever North has planned.
North, what do you have planned?
I mean, I would just like her to drop her weapon and, get on her knees, hands in the air, and then just tie her up. And then, ideally, one of the other two would say, we'll put her in the closet.
All the one thing in the world is not going to make this one behave rationally.
Sure.
They are all possessed of the same desire at this point. They've been through the iterations. You're lucky you were far enough away in the beginning, but they have been living this, and this is what needs to happen. You don't understand. It needs to happen.
Sure. I mean, if she's not willing to put down her weapon peacefully, then we don't have to do this peacefully, and I can try and shoot her gun arm to make her drop it.
Called shot will be a negative 20% penalty to your firearms. That shouldn't really matter because you got buckets of firearms.
Yep, I rolled a 30 out of 60 with a minus 20. So
okay. Just the pistol's up. You'll probably get a bullet like into the wrist. Maybe trying to get an angle so it doesn't go wrist into chest, which would defeat the purpose. But in either case, go ahead and roll damage for me. It's 1d10 plus 2.
Oh yeah. So it'd be 9.
Okay. Yeah, let's go back to that into the chest thing. You've done your best, and I will give you the moral credit for that. There's no sand penalty for violence or whatever, but needs must, and at this point, she is down. Not like a sucking chest wound, didn't blow her heart open or anything like that. Dr. West, if she's inclined, might be able to fix this problem. But that solves this for now. Until there's a sound of rapture and fear and maniacal glee all happening at the same time. And it's coming over from the workshop. And you see the technician, Kovac. He's the first one who bursts through the door. Eyes, ears, lips, underneath the bed of his fingernails, just bleeding everywhere. He doesn't care. He's elated. And behind him, you see this figure. A older woman. A grandma in any other context. Walking forward with her lab coat on. She has a little notebook in her back pocket. And a name tag that says Helen Klinger. And she says to you, in a voice that echoes through the building and also inside your eardrums, you can't stop this. She reaches up with her hands kind of like imagine when you see like scientists using glove boxes, right, to deal with microbes and stuff. And she's making that kind of motion as she walks forward, and you see a scorching kind of heat energy coming off of her skin, like a heat mirage that would come off of the desert as she is now walking deliberately towards the three of you. Agent Gilmore, you're not present for this. You're still trying to do the hacking. How are you feeling about...
The hacking? Oh, God. I guess I'm standing up. Like, does the computer overlook... The atrium looked like it was pretty close to where the lasers were, right? Am I reading that right on the map?
It's, I mean, like 50 feet, 50 meters. It's a sprintable amount of speed. Usain Bolt can do it in about 7 seconds, 6 seconds.
I'm gonna step out and try to go take a look. What is the splitter?
The laser beam is emitted. The splitter breaks it into two other beams so that they can measure the differences between them.
Okay. And I guess the terminal is where the beam is actually emitted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna try to walk down to it. Can I unplug my computer from the thing, or is it stuck like the rest of them?
The one you've put into the black is stuck, but you can definitely pull it out of your own LAN port, right? Unless is your LAN port made out of whatever that's made out of?
I don't know. Is it? You tell me.
No, I mean, it's okay, understandable. I was making a joke and you're like, hey man, reality's bending. I have no idea. No, you can disconnect your computer. That is fine.
Okay. I'm gonna take my computer with me just in case, and I'm gonna run down to the terminal and see if I can find a way to disconnect the lasers.
There's one problem, and I'm going to give you the benefit of having heard this earlier because it's very silly if you run there and then have to run back, which is those lasers are super, super precise, and the doors are like locked and sealed because even a single grain of dust that gets in there is enough to throw off the readings. And the only person who you would know based on your meeting who has the key is Kovac. That would either be in the workshop or on his person.
Okay.
That's okay, because Agent North just met Kovac. How's he doing?
Not great.
Right. So now we have a Dr. Klinger problem. This is a being of malevolence. The other ones were wrapped up in something driven mad by piping. Dr. Klinger, no. So... what is the plan?
I don't think there's any way that I can interrupt the lasers from in here either, right? That's something I absolutely need the key for.
Yeah, as best you know, if you're hacking the machine, as long as you're hacking it and ruining the equations, it can't commune, right? It needs to finish the math when these two things happen. So you can buy the time, you can slow it down. Eventually you would collapse from exhaustion and communion would happen. But until that time, you can make sure nothing else comes to fruition.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna run out and try to... I don't know that they've put away... I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen. So I'm just gonna go out looking for Agent North. Agent North?
Hallway's not that long.
Nope.
Yep.
A little busy.
No, it's good. We're all in the same room. And we're this is as close to D&D as Delta Green's ever gonna get. So, two things. I will remind you and also the audience: Delta Green is really fucking lethal. So if the four of you just try to sit down, knock down, drag out this, Cleaner's gonna wipe the floor with you, and you can all meet your new insane god at the center of the universe. You need to find a way to distract her. Someone needs to be able to get to Kovac or the lab and then to the machine with Klinger either distracted or you don't die on the way. So like we can zoom out for a second and talk about that and then see if the plan works. But this is not a game where you can just fight the elder thing and it works. So Agent North, you have the tactical mind. You want to roll military science? I can maybe give you a clue there. You can think about which of you has athletics. Which of you is it better to use the gunfire to distract Klinger and then someone else goes? What was the result?
37.
Excellent. So, what have you learned so far from dealing with Jingfei? Whoever is the biggest threat to the facility is the one that's going to get this attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means until such a time as Klinger realizes that someone's gonna go muck with the laser beams, if someone's trying to kill her, if someone's trying to disrupt the machinery in an obvious way, that is who would have her attention. How long you can keep her attention is determined mostly by how much blood is in your body, right? How much of a beating can you take?
Sure.
Second, so who's the best person or persons for that? And then second question, somebody has to go disrupt the lasers, and it might be as simple as you just like kick the laser platform over and ta-da, we're done. But
we still need the key for that.
Well, yeah, you need the key, but even someone who goes in there, right? Like if I took any of the five of us and put us in a room with a laser beam and said, break this, I would be hard pressed to think of something unless I had like a sledgehammer. Will that work? I don't know. So you need, oh my god, this is the suicide mission from Mass Effect. Who's the technical expert, and then who are the fighting people? Who's going to be your Zaid, right? No one.
I will mention at this point, I have a firearms of 40.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I assumed that I will be taking a moment to stare at her and then running into the lab and then just start firing, knowing already that it's not going to do anything, but like, man, I'm going to try.
Yeah. Because one of my ideas was get person with key to maybe chase after whoever might go after the lasers. Get person with key away from big scary lady.
Well, person with key is suffering from acute radiation poisoning that he got all at once, same as Takagawa. So I don't think that like if we asked him, for the key or took him with us, I don't know if he'd argue that much. But I also don't think getting the key off of his person would be necessarily incredibly difficult.
True. Yeah. I mean, as long as he's got the key on his person. I mean, yet again, I also have an athletics of 50. So
I also have athletics of 50.
So we can, like, I mean, if it's, we can do that. We can grab the key. We can go, and we have some sort of science. We could be like, how do I disrupt a laser?
If my physics is pretty good, I could be like, yes, science and sciencey science.
Science.
That will stop the science. Hurrah!
and this just between us, as in you, the players, and me, the person who can see Dr. Klinger's stats. The more people you can leave in the room with Dr. Klinger, the longer it will take her to bore of killing you, and then go. The dice are still on the table, but I do not want in a position where like Agent North goes in by herself, gets some bad rolls in a round, and now Dr. Klinger is just playing slasher movie, chasing the rest of you down, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look over at Agent Linda. Take Dr. West. Get the key from Kovac. Go deal with the lasers. You should know the best way to interrupt those.
All right. I if you think that helps, I could help talk her down, but
She's gonna get talked down.
All right.
There's no talking anymore.
Very well.
Yeah, the word monomaniacal is in my head because as it describes Dr. Klinger in the text, it says disorders and adaptations, psychopathic monomaniacal.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Agent North, are you running immediately to the atrium?
And by atrium you mean the lab, right? The lab that's like just behind us with the computer, as opposed to I'm just making sure. As soon as we kind of put everything together and these commands are issued, I'll kind of like lock eyes with her, and then I'm going to turn and book it through the doors.
Okay. Dr. West, are you going with Agent North?
I think I'm
West
gonna
is going with Linda.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Linda. So we are going after the man with key. Yeah, okay. We're tackle him to the ground, steal the key off his body, and run.
Agent Gilmore, are you going with Agent North, or are you going with the other two?
Going with Agent North.
Okie dokie. So Agent North, you start tearing off. Dr. Klinger is just walking in that horror movie villain way. So Dr. West, Dr. Agent Linda, she's not going to actually stop and care about you so much as she, as you go past her, makes that swiping, just get out of my way, peasant maneuver. I'm going to roll first to see who she targets. If it is high, we'll say Dr. West. If it's low, we'll say Agent Linda. It is a 6. I apologize, Agent Linda. Now, she rolls her unarmed to see if she actually contacts you. Oh, by 1. Okay, so you have the opportunity to dodge. If you make a dodge roll, you will take less damage.
Yeah, all right, I'll give it a go. Ooh, no. 78 out of 30. Nope.
Okay, well then, Dr. West, I will let you observe this because as Agent Linda experiences it, it's going to be difficult for her to get the nitty gritty, or him to get the nitty gritty. Klinger, it's horror villain strength. She's kind of swats, and it's like Agent Linda is a fly. He goes flying towards the lab. That by itself, wild, but that heat, the searing heat. If you could do it in slow motion, you could see the mixed fiber fabric start to melt and then smolder. And where it's left, where Dr. Klinger makes contact with her, there's that singeing of flesh. This is not the pleasant part. She does 2d4 damage for hitting you. You take 2.
Yay.
The burn also inflicts damage, which is 3. So 5 total from the force of being smashed across the hallway and then the heat searing flesh as she does, as Dr. Klinger does. With that passed, the two of you are not in the clear, but you're better because Dr. Klinger is going to be moving towards Agent North. I'll let each of you make alertness. There's not a search skill in Delta Green, right? There's not like a specific search on your sheet.
Yes, there is.
There's search.
Okay. Yeah, good. Search. Roll search for me. Agent North, Agent Gilmore. It's going to take about a round for Klinger to follow you into the atrium. Do you make any kind of preparations? What are you taking a position somewhere?
I'm actually looking for a place that I can like find cover behind any of like the server racks, because what I want to do is kind of like use them and like move between cover as she's kind of moving. I assume she's going to be able to just topple them like blocks, but you being able to duck behind them is important for me.
Yeah, maybe you can get her to target the computer.
Sound like a good plan to you, Agent Gilmore?
I was actually gonna hide behind the big black pillar for that very reason.
Works for me. Dr. West, Agent Linda, how did your search roll go?
9.
19 out of 20.
This is weird. I'm not used to my players rolling this well.
No, it's very strange. This is like the first.
You failed like 2 rolls in this entire game. Well, then yeah, you find it faster than is fun for me. I'll tell you that much.
Just 2 of us. We just destroy this man's pockets.
No, because I know that both of your search skill are like 20, and I'm like, that's a 1 in 5
No, mine's like
chance.
40.
Oh, okay. Well, you had better odds. I expected it to take more than a round. Jesus. Anyway, well, we'll see if I can't have some fun yet. Anyway, Agent North.
We still gotta get there and decide how we break the lasers. You got some time.
Agent North. The alarming part will be not that Dr. Klinger does not walk into the room. There is a sound like a crack of lightning, and then Dr. Klinger shimmers into existence as if stepping through this ripple much closer to you than you were probably prepared to accept. So let's just, for one thing, roll sand for me.
Sure.
Agent Gilmore, you're hiding, so I'm going to say you don't see it.
52 out of 53.
All right. You still take 1.
Yeah.
Because that is definitely not okay.
Nope.
What is your dexterity?
My dexterity is 55.
Okay, so 11.
So 11, yeah.
Yeah. Then you will get to go before she does. You have a chance to open fire on the doctor before the doctor gets a chance to open fire on you.
Oh, that was That was funny.
I amused myself.
Great. Then, yes, taken aback, it's automatic, right? Enemy in front of me, let's shoot at the enemy. So strafing backwards, we're backpedaling, I guess. I would like to shoot her with my AR.
Go ahead.
That is, 10.
Okay.
Take that out of 80. That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Under most circumstances, that would be an extreme success. And impale, you would actually do extra damage. But there's this thing. Dr. Klinger exists in multiple realities at the same time, one of which you are in and one of which you are not.
Mm-hmm.
She has a 50% chance to be in the other dimension when the bullets pass. And at this point, you see that flickering and then the whoomp whoomp of the bullets going, and nothing happens.
Sure.
It is Dr. Klinger's turn. We will see. Honestly, the thing that might save you here is that her attack skills are actually not that good.
Great.
He said before rolling a 17.
I am having
Sure.
flashbacks to Convergence. You're like, they're not
I
that great.
know.
And then hit us almost every time. I almost died to a crit.
Go ahead and roll to dodge.
89.
Okay. Oh, fuck. Well, okay, a little bit of fuck, a little bit of not fuck. Okay. One piece of bad news, two pieces of good news.
I don't trust that there's any good news right now, but thank you.
No, the bad news is that I rolled a 4 on the first die. The good news is I rolled 2 more 1s. So you take 6 from the damage and the heat, but you are correct. She's reaching out, doing backhanding, shoving, punching at you. The blow is tremendous, knocks you back into the server rack, and then there's this just cacophonous screeching as these things aren't bolted to the floor like that, or maybe they are. I don't know. It's cinematic and cool for me if they're not, because you just come falling back, smashing. There's sparks and shit somewhere. Someone watching the movie is like, that's not how that works. We don't care. It's an incredible shower of pyrotechnic effects. Agent Gilmore, you're peeking around. You can kind of see this happening. Are you gonna jump in?
I'm trying to decide whether or not it's better. Oh, that hurt. Better for me to try to attack, or better for me to go over and still try to interfere with the computers a little bit. But I guess I'm instinctively gonna attack. Even.
Well, Agent North has an idea.
Well, I have a weird question, and this is maybe totally out there, but if does D have any information on could D have any information on Klinger? And would D be able to extrapolate when Klinger's in this universe versus when her foot's in the other one, and could help us a little bit?
You are very close to a correct use, so I'm going to let you get the rest of the way. The computer does not understand Klinger, does not understand the firearms, it doesn't understand reality. And remember, the degree of communion is because D is doing math right now.
Yeah.
So you can use computer science, hack in there, and it's like, if you're fucking with the data, if you're ruining the process, then the two universes connecting stops for a bit, right? And if you do that, you can keep Klinger in one universe, but you would have to continually fight against D every round to keep her from moving forward.
So the answer to what I was just saying before is go deal with the computers.
Deal with the
Okay,
computer.
okay,
Yeah.
then that's what I will do.
Freaking lootly.
It appears that Agent North would really like you to deal with the computer.
Yes, please, fucking deal with the goddamn computer.
All right, Agent Gilmore, roll for me computer science. Dr. West, you rolled... Which of you rolled lower?
I rolled the 9.
Okay. So you have the key.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you are sprinting out of the building, running across.
Yes.
There's no roll there. I'm sorry to do that. It's going to be round by round. However, if Krissy doesn't pass... Sorry, if Agent Gilmore doesn't pass her roll, it will get more interesting for you in a moment. So the amount of fun you get to have as this scenario reaches its climax is depending entirely on whether or not Agent Gilmore passed the computer science roll.
Face. I don't like them.
Well, so you had me at a -20 before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I still at a -20?
Yeah, because this is an alien machine, literally.
Okay, and is there a luck
Or a
But
pushing a roll?
There's not. You could push it. I'll let you push it. The consequence
Okay.
of pushing it would be if you fuck it up, then like the computer fries D learns what you're doing and locks you out, and you wouldn't be able to interact with the computer anymore.
By pushing it, it's
You get to roll again.
50. Okay. All right. 32.
That's close. I'll give you a round. I'll give you a round out of it. We'll say the next one is I'm out of good GM points, but this one, because I can't. Oh man. You'll make it. Well, I'll tell you what. That I'll say we'll stop the teleporting thing from happening, but the decoherence with reality is still in effect. So Agent North, you'll have a chance to miss, but the upshot is that Dr. Klinger is not going to teleport out of the room and then go murder your friends.
I appreciate that.
This round. Yes. So in terms of time, we say that Dr. West, Agent Linda, that round is enough time for you to make it to the thing, and you're fumbling with the key. Even though it's a key and you know how keys work, they're still jamming it in.
You're like,
Yeah, and this is a positive pressure lock. Which is interesting because you want the air pressure inside the room to be higher than the outside air pressure. So if it opens, air leaks out as opposed to stuff coming in.
Mhm.
So you're actually gonna kind of have to muscle at that a bit. Will the two of you together? One of you can roll strength, and I'll give you a plus 20 bonus because both of you are working together.
Mhm.
Agent North, we're back in the gunfight. Klinger is hulking over you, and if you remember nothing else from this, it's just how fucking smug she looks, moving slowly, not really caring, and there's no urgency. She knows you are a gnat.
I don't appreciate that. I mean, I get it in the grand scheme of things, but I don't really appreciate it. So I'm gonna try and wipe that smug look off her face.
Butt stroke?
Ooh, 77.
Under 80.
Under 80, yeah.
That is a critical hit. Okay.
I really hope she's in this goddamn universe.
Well, I did say so. I'm going to roll, and I tell you what, if I don't critically succeed, if I don't get doubles, then we'll say it's fine.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Watch him get doubles. I swear to fucking God. I swear to fucking God. Are you kidding right now?
It's not doubles, but I rolled a 001. I'm not holding them up right. A 001. That is the worst thing I've ever done to a player in my entire life. I can see all of your faces.
You couldn't even lie about it. You couldn't even lie about it.
Why would I do that to you? Look, I tell you what. It was not but 3 days ago that I asked Dennis Twiler in a Delta Green chat, hey, what's the worst trap that Delta Green GMs and authors can fall into? And he said, never pull your punches. Delta Green is a rough game. It's not supposed to be heroic or pulp. It's supposed to feel terrible. So I am just doing what Dennis Twiler told me to do.
Okay.
Shane Ivey told me to do. And
Okay.
you can bring it up with Shane real soon. You can bring it up with Shane in like 30 minutes.
Like 30, like less than, yeah.
All right. The bullets go ringing straight through, and it will be her turn again to come at you. But before that, Dr. West, Agent Linda, what was that roll?
I don't think we. I have a strength of 50. What
Okay.
is your so I guess I'll do it.
I got 50, but I rolled as rubbish.
Well, I just rolled a 15, so.
Okay, yeah, law of averages. So you managed to pull the thing open, and now the laser is shining. Agent Linda, this thing blows your mind. Like when they said best laser in the universe, they meant like all the universes. This is obviously not of human origin. There's some weird shit going on here. You can just know intuitively anything you put in front of that is going to be evaporated and cast into 17 kinds of the cosmos. You gotta find another way. I'll give you some time to think about that while we see what happens to Agent North. Okay, 55, she misses. And what's the rule on Delta Green B?
I don't don't fucking know. I don't play Delta
Doubles.
That was a
often enough.
critical failure.
Oh, yeah, it's a crit fail.
Yeah, doubles over your skill or a critical failure. So this will be of use to you. She goes to swing. What really fucking cool thing do you do to avoid being smashed by like the double overhand?
Oh, I mean, I see it coming, right? Like it's super, super telegraphed. You don't do these moves normally. It's a rookie mistake. So the double overhand comes up, and it's a really cool like side somersault tuck and roll behind a cabinet that hasn't fallen yet, or has fallen in just the perfect way where I know I can somersault underneath it and get around. So it's a little bit of a deterrent for her too, and it's kind of fun for me.
Comes smashing down past you, and I if it were me, I would be like as you roll past. Her hands come smashing down into the electrical equipment. That is when you see it, because for whatever reason, however this universe works, the rules of shooting don't apply to the electricity as it arcs up from the busted machinery and makes contact with her. It seems honestly that Klinger is surprised by this, and she's stunned as voltage and amount, I don't know electricity, but a lot of voltage, megavolt, not mega, that's too much, kilovoltage, decavolt, deca's a nice safe number, decavoltage rips up through her body, and she's shaking, and you can see that wobble, that decoherence locks in place as the electricity hits.
Oh,
Now
lovely.
we turn to Dr. West and Agent Linda. This is it. How are you breaking this machine?
Well, if the doctor doesn't have, well, if Linda doesn't have any ideas, so the whole thing is scattered throughout these plates. Can we see the plates?
The what?
Like the plates that it's like being scattered on, or I'm just trying to get a figure of what this looks like.
As you've entered into the emitter part of the machine.
Okay.
The plates are down the tube
Okay.
and
yeah,
off.
true. I mean, I'm Dr. West is. I am at the point where I'm just like, what can I just shoot? We just need to get this done quick.
If I can roll like a physics or something, just to be like, well, how, just to try and
This is,
figure
unless
out.
there's like a big red button that says
Yeah,
off.
it's like, oh,
Well, there's it's the precision that's the thing. If you can find any way that would move the laser like even a micron off its axis, that would break it. I think physics-wise that would be good. Honestly, the correct rule here would be like operate heavy machinery, but people only have a 10% of that.
Yep.
So, but between physics and that, yeah, if you didn't have the physics, I would be like, well, you have no fucking clue. Just hit it until it breaks. But in this case, physics-wise, yes, Agent Linda knows. All you need to do is get it off its axis somehow.
okay. Is there any like fire hydrants in the room for safety, just in case? Anything I can grab off the water?
That sounds reasonable to me.
Right? Yeah.
So-
Then rip it off the wall. Right. I'm just going to whack it to try and move it a little bit, even if I can.
So you grab the fire extinguisher. Are we coming down from above? Are we coming like baseball from the side?
Just from the side, just try and dent it even a little bit. Just
So you muster up all 42 years of strength. You smash the back end of the fire hydrant into the laser. All four of you instantly feel an explosion of vertigo. And like an accordion, the universe starts to just kind of like meld and twist around you. The vision of when you have like a mirror held up against a mirror and it stretches out into infinity, and you imagine all of that collapsing into one image together. And as it gets closer and closer and closer, you can see the past and the future versions of yourself. The first team that made it to the Hollow Array the first night, the last team that never managed to stop it, and all of those things. It starts out slow, speeding up, smashes together. And as you wake up, screaming at 10 o'clock in the morning. But there'll be no message from Delta Green. There'll be no email. There'll be no text. there will be no plane ticket. The truth of the matter is, you'll never actually know what you did. You'll have the memory. It's clear and it's there. But in the way that you try to remember a dream, the more you think about it, the further away it's going to go. Whatever reality loop the world existed in, whatever was trying to crawl through, breaking the cycle has severed it entirely. It's possible that there is an Agent North and an Agent Gilmore and an Agent Linda and a Dr. West who are still there, who are still fighting and battling with Klinger, who may or may not survive. But this reality that you're in is going to be just another day. At least until the next weird thing happens in Delta Green. Well, friends, this was a much abridged version of Observer Effect, a Delta Green scenario written by Shane Ivey. We'll be seeing him here soon in a second. If you like his work, you'll be able to tell him in chat. I have been joined for this, the first of our marathon sessions from Goblets and Gaze, one of my favorite human beings in the universe, in all the universes, in the infinite number of universes. As reprising her role as Dr. West, it is Aubrey.
Hello.
We will have to skip the wares and stuff now because we're going to come real quick upon the next scenario. But adjacent, Aubrey, actually, you managed to hack an alien supercomputer. Is that not the coolest thing in the world?
That is the fucking coolest thing in the world.
Doing the coolest things in the world. As Agent Gilmore, it is Krissy.
Hi, what's up?
Quiet, unassuming, actually had the idea on how to win the scenario, and in the last minute severed, making sure that Azathoth could not enter our dimension and destroy all reality. As Agent Linda, it is Scarlet.
Hi.
And as always, lastly but not leastly, you know what? I think, does Agent North just have an abundance of confidence, or is it a death wish? Because every time we play, you're like, I'll do it. I mean, I know what needs to be done.
I was literally trained for this, right? Isn't that one of the things? Like, I mean,
yeah.
And I can't. What? Like, I was gonna let Linda do it?
Had to be you. Someone else would have been ripped into pieces by an interdimensional horror doctor.
Yep.
Well, friends, this again has been Observer Effect by Shane Ivey. Pop exclamation point scenario in the chat if you'd like to go figure out where you can buy it and play Delta Green for yourself. A few of us will be back in just a little bit. We're saying goodbye to Aubrey for now, but we'll get her back in the room for some more Delta Green. Until then, we'll see you all in just a few.